What is up? What is up? What is up? It's a Mindful Monday. And I know I haven't been here doing that, I think, since May. So it's been a while. Um, just, it is what it is. Life and stuff, lifing in. Don't forget, as you come through, hit the like button, share this out to others. We have a juicy conversation going on today that has been a topic for some years now. I didn't even get to do all of my homework the way I wanted to, but I did enough research to, plus me living in the borough of where it's called the birthplace of hip hop. Just wanted to discuss this because it ties in to what we're seeing on a national level, where we're talking about race debate and racial disparities and whatnot, right? And what I'm getting with this whole conversation of who was there during hip hop, because there's this quiet storm happening on social media in regards to who was actually there, who was there supporting rap music and hip hop. And and it's the thing where Puerto Ricans weren't they weren't the creators, or they weren't there in the beginning. And I'm kind of like, mm, the people that weren't here at that time really need to just take a seat back and shut the hell up, because they don't know. Social media has created a blessing and a curse when it comes to information. And so people can spin the narrative now of who was really there, who wasn't there. Um, Puerto Ricans were, they was racist against black. We're going to use words like black today, and we're going to use words like white today, right? And I also have the Barron's Law Dictionary in regard to what these names mean, right? I also have the FBI warrant on Tupac Shakur. I've brought this book out. I've even did a live just solely on this, where we know that certain government officials, aka the alphabet boys, right, that they also spin narratives, that they also can put in agents, can put in agents of provocateur, can put in plants to manifest something that doesn't exist, and then it takes a life of its own, and then you have this back and forth, this debating, right? And then I also brought 100 Amazing Facts of the Negro back out again. I got the other original copy by J.A. Rogers. All right. So he's the one that wrote this book, and he did extensive research back in the 1930s. He devoted 50 years of his life's work, of his life, doing this research. Okay, he had not only looked at world history, but also the history of people of African origin. So I'm going to be talking about, let's go back in history, let's go back in time, let's get into DeLorean and go back to where the migration of the Caribbean people, right, or the West Indian people, when they were living in their respectful islands and their respectful countries, and then they came over to the United States of America, right, and wanted to do better for themselves, or needed to do better for themselves, regardless. I mean, whether it's for economic or just a sustainable living, right? And we have to understand, understand that these people came to this country. And they also contributed as well. Okay, so then you also had the so-called Black migration as well. While this was happening, or they've always been doing this since the beginning of the 19th century, is doing this migration from the South to the North in hopes of better opportunity economically and again, sustainable living for their families. So when I asked who was really there, right? Who was there when hip hop started? Yes, The answer is the foundational Black American, right? We're going to use that acronym, that alphabet term as well. And that is standing for FBA, stands for Foundational Black American. But these are, they're not, this is why we have to know, who we really are. Because when you get caught up in the system of the labeling Black and white, right? You get caught into their caste system. You get caught into the pigeonhole of what they want you to be labeled as, and what so when we're talking about history, they have written books that don't say that. They'll call you a Negro, they'll call you a colored, and they'll say, this is a European, this is an Irish, this is a German, this is, Spaniard, etc., etc. So we have to understand, overstand these things, that the powers that shouldn't be have put these labels on a certain group of people. So when you talk about foundational Black Americans, and disclaimer, I am no I know a little history, but I'm not a self-proclaimed historian. I'm not a professor. I didn't go to any of these colleges to get that. But I like to read, and I like to learn about history and know where you came from, to know where you're going. And so with foundational Black Americans, you're not solely just first of all, let's read up what the term Black is. All right, out of Barron's Legal Guide, Law Dictionary, 3rd edition. Let's look up the term Black, okay? Because this is why certain people are voting for this woman that's the vice president of the United States of America, right? And you're holding on to the notion that she's your first Black female president. Okay, so do they have the word Black in here? Of course not. All right. Anyway, and so when we're using those type of terms, it's not flying right legally, because legally that word is meaning dead in the eyes of the law. Okay. So when you're using the word Black, ladies and gentlemen, time is in the building. Salute, salute. Yes, miss you too. We're doing a Mindful Monday. Mindful Mondays, I need to really have something thought-provoking to talk about. I don't talk about gossip. And, the hip hop thing might be slightly gossip, but it's not gossip in the sense of we need to know these histories. We need to know the facts, because social media, people are going haywire with Puerto Ricans weren't there. And, and I'm going to get to all that. I wrote my notes. So sit back, grab your popcorn, and dogs in the building. Get your coffee, get your tea, get your bud, whatever it is you do, grab a glass of water. We're going to dive in. I'm going to open the panel up so we can have a lengthy conversation. I don't want this to be a monologue. I want us to have an open conversation here. But when we're talking about the terms of Black, right, when we're using those words, know that that is a legal term, and it is, in their eyes, in the legal eyes, of being civilly dead, right? So you could sit here and put on your census that you're Black. You could go around town and proclaiming you're Black and you're proud, right? And there's this Black pride or brown pride, right? But these are colors, and again, in the eyes of the law, Black means dead. All right. So that's why they're changing it with African American, which also is not the so-called foundational Black American either, because they're not. You can't make us all African. There's some of us that have African descent in us, but you can't make the whole United States of America black. You can't make them all African either. Because you got to think, if you want to go back to the slave trade, right? The Africans that were brought, and there were only, it wasn't this big mass that we're thinking of either. And I might, somebody had made a remark that I was on somebody's panel and they're like, she's speaking pseudo and she's speaking like an abo. And I'm not. I'm just speaking from observation and learning. You're not everything. There's no 100% of you either. Your DNA, you got two parents, two sets of grandparents, two sets of great grandparents, etc. And you can't just say I'm all 100% this. You are 100% human, and that is it. And even that term is another term. Thank you. Even that term is not, it legally doesn't mean anything. Okay. Because let's look up what human is. So what I'm trying to say is that we got to get out of our feelings when it comes to speaking politically and being politically correct. And this hip hop thing, the people who are talking as of late, I don't think, and I'm surprised that even Busta Rhymes, because my husband put me on to Busta Rhymes, was the one that was saying it was Jamaicans that started hip hop. I think Boosie said that Black people, hip hop is not their culture. And I'm like, wow, people are just really losing their minds out here. Like, why all of a sudden you talking like this? It's 50 years, 51 years, and y'all, and now you want to talk like this? Nobody was saying that back in 1973. Nobody was saying that in 1971. And I'm going to get to the history and the migration of the Puerto Ricans and the West Indians, as it's written, Caribbean islands and the Caribbean folk that left their countries and left their islands that came to the United States. And you will then understand a little bit better of hip hop is predominantly now, and maybe more so what you call foundational Black American, but in the infancy of hip hop, it was more Caribbean folk than Black folk. Now I know people gonna come at me and be like, no, Foxy, you're wrong. I lived it. I know what I'm talking about. The people who you think are foundational Black Americans are really in disguise because they don't want you to know. It's now that they're coming out as they get older to let you know, oh yeah, my mother was Jamaican. Oh yeah, my father was Jamaican. Don't get hoodwinked by the color of people's skin. Don't get hoodwinked. All right, let me take this scanner off. We're going to look at the term human. Right, so let's see here what human means, because even human is another term. And this is an earlier book, so it might not have all the terms in it. House. Nope, doesn't have human in it. I got to get the Black's Laws Dictionary. I really got to get that. That's a must-have to have that in your arsenal. But anyway, so let me digress rather, and get on to the notes. Disclaimer, copyrights. Let's do this for a second. All right, so fair use copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act, 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Okay. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Okay. So now we got fair use out the way. Now we're going to sit here and we're going to talk for a minute. And I will drop the link in a minute or a couple of minutes. I want to just get out the history, right? So we can make sense of certain things, because when you realize who certain people are in the grand scheme of things, because I personally think this is about colorism. I don't think it really has to do with, oh, was the Puerto Ricans there in the beginning? The Puerto Ricans were not there in the very beginning of rap music or hip hop. They came like in the early 80s, mid 80s, and their contribution, they did some emceeing, but their contribution was really the dancing. So the b-boys and the break dancing, they kept that going. And yes, there was foundational Black American people there too. Nobody's disputing that. No one's saying that they didn't create it, because everybody's like, Black people created everything. Yeah. But when we talk about Black people, we're not talking about Black people. We're talking about indigenous people of the land, right? We're talking about different cultures contributing, right? But mainly indigenous people of the lands. Okay, so I feel that people are not stepping to, and I'll give you an example before I dive into the lesson. People are not stepping to KRS-One or Busta Rhymes, two examples, and saying, you didn't start hip hop. You weren't there in the inception of rap music. But they'll say to, and Fat Joe, he's not the Fat Joe of the 90s. So he's somebody else right now. I don't know who that Fat Joe is. But I'm hearing a lot more discrimination against saying Puerto Ricans weren't there. And I think it's because of the complexion of the skin, although they don't realize that there's Puerto Ricans that are dark as this shirt. There's Puerto Ricans that are the same complexion as Tupac. All right. So I feel like it is more of a light skin, dark skin kind of thing going on here, more so than, because KRS-One, his mother is Jamaican. Dougie Fresh, Jamaican. Busta Rhymes, Jamaican. He won't speak in all that patois back in the days. I've been there. I was there. I'm 48 years old. It's just now of late he's starting to speak his patois, but he didn't really. And I'm going to go into the history of why Caribbean people do this. But because he has a certain complexion, it's like you'll give them a hall pass. But that's why the saying goes, not all skin folk is kinfolk. Okay? So with the Fair Use and Act, my brother Maybach is here. I'm going to drop the link for y'all in a couple of minutes. I want to just read the history. And like Maybach and I, we're descendants of Caribbean families. So, we can put our intake onto how, how it is, because there's discrimination against Caribbean people as well. Don't matter the complexion of your skin. There's still a discrimination there, because guess what? The powers that shouldn't be look at all dark-skinned people or brown-skinned people as you all, and y'all all Negroes. So when you hear a Dominican say, "Oh, me no black," and then you have foundational Black Americans arguing like this dude he is black. He's telling you no, because these people know their nationality. It's only the Americas, the United States of Americans, that are running around with this black stuff. Because in other countries, they don't do that. They go by their religion and they go by their nationality. So when they're saying I'm Ghanaian and I'm Muslim, that's the first thing they say. They don't say I'm black. So this is why we have the problem is here, and we want to push it onto other people. And they're like, no. So when you hear somebody, a Hispanic saying who's this complexion, says, I am not a black man, you can't fight him on it, because he's telling you, who is it? Roberto Clemente was a Puerto Rican baseball player back in the 50s, 60s, during the Jim Crow time. He had a problem playing here. One, he had a language barrier. And two, the Black Americans wasn't messing with him. because of his language barrier. And they looked at him like, you not one of us. And the white people was definitely like, you not, I don't care how famous you are. I don't care how good you can play ball, boy. You still a Negro. So trust me, the Caribbean people, and he was very melanated, but he was ostracized by the same melanated colored people as he thought would embrace him. And then he's definitely ostracized by the so-called white people. My beauty queen's in the building. Seven's in the building. All right, salute. We in here. We in this piece. Me no black. Right. I mean, and we want to get mad at them like, nah, bro, you black. They don't go by that out there. They don't do that. Thank you, my beauty queen. All is well. Salute. I mean, that's why we got to sit here and have these intelligent conversations, because they out here tripping, and we getting caught up in the rapture of this. Then you got this chicken here, chicken head. God rest Scoop, Fat Man Scoop. Chicken head. Where all the chicken heads at? Where the chicken heads at? You got this chicken here making us, really sitting here like, oh, we're going to have a first black woman president. She's not black. Her father even said it. We're not black. She's not black. Now, she is a person of color. Absolutely. She's not black. And she's spinning the block and having everybody out here like, oh. Meanwhile, other people are mad because Trump is, they're going, oh, Trump is a racist. This and neither party don't give a hot damn. All right. If you got your feelings invested with one or the other, or you're saying this one is this and this, that, and that, get your feelings out of it. Because some people don't give a hot damn. They really don't. So anyway, let me get to the history and, where my fellow Caribbeans at, where my Islanders at, where my Jamaicans at, where my Cubans at, where my Puerto Ricans at. I know where my Haitians at. He's right there. Luke Mayback. All right. So migrationpolicy.com, again, fair use. This came out of an article dated July 7th, 2022. All right. In the early 1900s. So we're going back in the DeLorean. We're doing a little history lesson so we can understand the history with Caribbean people. I'm not going into the history too much of the so-called foundational Black American, because that's a whole nother story within itself. But to get to the point of hip hop, because you got, and especially in the beginning, you had a lot of Caribbean people that were very intricate in creating so-called hip hop. All right. So anyway, in the early 1900s, U.S. firms employed Caribbean workers to help build the Panama Canal. My great-great-grandfather, this was just a side note in there, from on my mother's side, he was part of helping to build the Panama Canal, because he's from Jamaica. So on my mother's side is Jamaican and Grenadian, and then on my biological father's side is Cuban. So they would, and Jamaica's not far from, where the Panama Canal is being built. So anyway, and they had many of these migrants later settled in New York. So at the turn of the century, 1900s on up, you had this mass migration leaving the islands and going up to Florida and into New York City. And this is why even to this very day, you see heavily populated areas of Caribbeans in Brooklyn, Flatbush, Brownsville, and then in the Bronx, Northeast Bronx, Gun Hill Road, 233rd, 241st, is still very Caribbean populated, specifically Jamaican up in the Bronx. But out in Brooklyn, it's all mixtures. There's Trinidadian, Guyanese, Grenadian, etc. All right. So a high demand for labor among U.S. fruit harvesting industries drew additional labor migrants, particularly to Florida, which again, my great grandfather did. That's what he not only worked helping put the Panama Canal together. But then he left because once that job dried up, he went back to Jamaica. Things weren't going, smoothly there financially. And so he was able to get to Florida with the help of my great grandmother, his soon to be wife. And because he didn't have any money in his pocket, she put the little money to the side, gave it to him so he can come through and they both can go through immigration down in Florida. And he was there picking the fruits and things of that nature, and then worked his way up. And then they ended up landing in New York City, Manhattan, Harlem to be exact. And he worked there. He worked for various white people, basically like not a servant, but he was there chauffeuring, cook, etc. Okay, so after World War II, U.S. companies heavily recruited thousands of English-speaking World War II contract workers from the Bahamas, Jamaica, and Barbados to fill critical jobs in healthcare and agriculture. So a lot, predominantly, especially in the 80s, there were a lot of Caribbean nurses and doctors and a lot of the whole healthcare techs. To this day, there's still some there, but yeah, during that time, there was a lot. So around that time, political instability in Cuba, Haiti, and Dominican Republic fueled immigration. Whereas the first major migration of immigrants from Cuba, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, and other Caribbean nations were comprised mostly of the members of the elite and skilled professions. So they were not just taking, and I don't want to say taking, these people were free colored people. They were recruiting. So U.S. was recruiting Caribbean people that could speak English fluently and were of like well-to-do class. They weren't really getting, like, excuse my language, the slum of, the barrios and the hoods. They were getting people who had professional jobs or who were, pretty much well-to-do, like I said. Okay. And the subsequent flows consisted chiefly of their family members and working class individuals. Because, yeah, you want to have somebody come over here that can be a contribution to society. And when my great grandparents came from Florida up to New York, they then became naturalized citizens and they assimilated and they made their life here and they were able to buy homes and live comfortably, right? But they were, for the most part, educated. My great grandmother, she couldn't finish school due to her family situation, but they really want somebody who can speak and who's of a certain ilk that can, be here in the United States and fulfill obligations. All right. While the Caribbean immigrant population tripled the size between 1980 and 2010, its growth rate had declined by 2019. So the Jamaicans was like, we out. We can't take it back up here. We're going back to my yard. All right. So University of California Press. I got this out of a book that this woman wrote. Her name is Nancy Fauner. And she wrote West Indian migration to New York. All right. So for the past 4 decades, she says, I have witnessed a massive West Indian migration to New York. 4 decades. So she roughly wrote this, I think it was like 2022 or so. But anyway, this is going back to like pretty much my time, the 70s, ish, 80s, right? So she says, since 1965, more than 500,000 West Indians have moved to New York City, about twice the size of the population of the island of Barbados and 5 times the size of Grenada. By 1988, according to Current's population survey, estimates about a third of New York City's Black population was foreign-born, the vast majority West Indian. I will repeat that again so you keep this in your mental Rolodex, because this is how it's going to tie in with the so-called founders of hip-hop. Oh, another person, Kool Herc. He's Jamaican. He's firstborn. No, he's not even firstborn generation, born in America. They came over here. He was already like a teenager when he came to New York. So, but Again, they won't give kudos. Again, I really believe it's a light skin, dark skin thing going on. Big Philly Dogs in the building. Salute, salute. Much love and respect to you as well. Good to see you. Okay. I shall continue. All right. So, in the context of the near record-breaking immigration to the United States, West Indians represent a particular fascinating case because they are in American racial terms. Like I said earlier, the powers that shouldn't be don't care if you are Caribbean or you so-called Black. If you look a certain complexion, you all the same thing. Okay. So West Indians bring the force to critical role of race in the U.S. immigration experience. Sociologists studying West Indian migration have generally focused on immigrant incorporation and issues of identity. Historians have often looked at relations between Black Americans and West Indians, and anthropologists have been primarily concerned with the transnational progress and cultural shifts in the United States. In the contemporary era, what kinds of racial and ethnic identities have emerged among first generations and developing among the second generation? Are members of the second generation assimilating into the African American population? I'm going to pause right there because that's what I'm talking about with Kool Herc, Dougie Fresh, Busta Rhymes. There's a plethora of these rappers that are they are second generation Jamaicans. Here, I'm third generation, so I'm kind of removed. I'm more American than I am, Caribbean. But but not Biggie Smalls. So when you look at them, you automatically will just say, "Oh, they one of us," right? A foundational Black American will say, "That's one of us," because you're looking at the complexion of the skin. And these Caribbean people will leave. And a lot of them do this. Foreigners, I'll just say in general, they will make English as the first language, even though it's their second language, and they will hide their culture, right? Everything's got to be Americanized now when they get here. Everything's got to be Americanized. So they're simulating, right? So with these rappers that came in, like KRS-One, and they're here, for whatever time, they grew up in the city or whatever, they may have a neighbor who, will use Black American, like, right? Because we're using these terms today, even though you're not Black American, right? But we'll use those terms today. So his friend down the block, or rather down the hall, he's going to hang out, right? Because Biggie Smalls wasn't speaking all that patois when he was talking to his friends. But when he got home, and every summer, Miss Wallace was taking him back to Jamaica, you better believe he was speaking that language, that patois. Okay. But when he got around with his homeboys, he straight up, "Yo, my ninja this, my ninja that." And nobody was saying, "Oh, Biggie's not one of us." So that's why I'm like, all skin, that saying, it just rings true right now, because it's true. All the skin folk that you think is kinfolk is not. And not saying that there should be a rivalry, or because they're like this, we shouldn't talk to them. It's just that when we hear things about Puerto Ricans weren't, they didn't contribute. What did they contribute? Or they weren't there in the beginning when it came to rap and hip hop. It's like, yeah, they were. And who's saying this? Because that's what I want to know. Who's bringing this to attention, that it's been a couple of years now that this is still an issue? And that you got Puerto Rican people now having to vouch that they've been there. Like, you weren't saying this 50 years ago in the beginning of hip hop. Like, why are we making this a problem right now? That's why I think somebody in social media network is an agent, is a plant, and they putting this in here to provoke people, to start out this little battle. And we're like, yo, we already got racial issues going on here. Like, and if you're not from New York City, like, people need to shut up because you don't know what it was like. Because, yeah, Puerto Ricans were living side by side next door to the foundational Black Americans and to the Jamaicans, Cubans, Haitians, Bahamians. We were all a melting pot and we were all getting along. Now, were there some discriminations in between all of them? Absolutely. But for the most part, because we were all put in this little pigeonhole together, this is how we're going to do it. All right. Yeah, they hide their accents. Ronan's in the building. Salute, old head. Yeah, they hide their accent because they don't want you. They're assimilating because to them it's like, oh, I don't want. They feel less of when they are talking in their native tongue because America has got this big grandiose. You got to. It's like British. So you're looked at, and back in the days, if you did speak like that, because the kids would make fun of Caribbean people. That's what I'm saying. Like, look, read up on Roberto Clemente, who's a Puerto Rican baseball player back in the 50s and the 60s. Okay, gorgeous looking man, but he was discriminated against so-called Black Americans and the white people. So he was isolated and he felt very much alone. He had a language. There was a language barrier there. He didn't speak English so well, but he would have thought, he was thinking like, my fellow baseball players with me, they'll take me in, but they was not feeling him. And so he did his stint, but then he made sure to go back to Puerto Rico. He lived out his life there because he was like, I don't like it in America. Like that whole Jim Crow thing, he was not having it. All right. But again, somebody would think that he was Black, especially during those times, would look at his skin complexion and be like, oh, you a ninja. Right. And he's like, me no Black. He'll tell people like, nah, no. All right. So let's move on. Black immigrants are a significant component of American new immigrants, but they have often been ignored in immigration debates, which typically focuses on Asians and Latinos. By highlighting the distinctive experience of West Indian newcomers, the essay in this book bring out the critical role of race in immigration incorporation, right? Because look, even to this day, even now, Asians got they got a bill protecting them, right? Latinos sometimes it's kind of like a hit or miss because it depends. If you are like a fair-skinned Latin person, Hispanic person, that you assimilate yourself into America and you start code switching, then yeah, they're gonna push for those rights. But for the most part, if you really like South Bronx Puerto Rican, they're not fighting for you. It's the local people that may fight for you. But then when it comes down to like a Jamaican or Haitian, there's no rights, there's no protection. So where do these people fall into? Oh, then it's like, oh, go back to your homeland then, and let them take care of you, right? All right, fair enough. They're not, and trust me, Caribbeans is not looking for no handouts. These people know how to hustle and get it done. All right, they will figure it out. And yes, some of them do go on the welfare system. But listen, I've been in welfare system a couple of times, and it's not them. It's really not them that's in those offices, because the women will work 3 jobs, the husbands will work 4 jobs, and so forth and so on. Okay. So I beg to differ about who's really in the welfare office. You want to go find out? Go just walk by the office. You don't have to even go in there for anything. Just walk by your local welfare office. See who actually really is in there. All right. Okay. Let's move on. So they also underscore the way Blackness is being West Indian migration renegotiating in any increasing multi-ethnic Black American. I don't know what she's saying here, but whatever. Moreover, because West Indians are closely identified with African Americans, the study West Indian migration has implications for the way West Indians fare in relationship to native-born Blacks, and the complex ways that West Indians utilize ethnicity to improve their image and their life chances. Again, they know how to get stuff done. They don't necessarily have to assimilate. But if they wanted to get into a profession where it'd be more of, we're using words white and Black today, then they probably, code switch, right? So most obvious common thread in New York West Indian migrants' experience throughout the 20th century is the existence of racial prejudice and discrimination. New York is also a very different place during the first wave. So that first wave was the early 1900s, 1920s. Then you had the second wave. The 1900s was the first wave. Then you had 1920 to 30 was the second wave. And then and the third wave was in the 50s. So the core of the West Indian community centered early on Central Harlem, Bedford-Stuyvesant in Brooklyn, and shifted to Crown Heights, East Flatbush sections of Brooklyn. Distinct West Indian neighborhoods have also developed in southeastern Queens and in the northeast Bronx as well as neighboring Mount Vernon just across the city line in Westchester County. Large numbers of post-1965 migrants flocked to neighborhoods experiencing an exodus of whites that opened up a substantial stock of decent housing. Because again, then you had the white flight, because you had an influx of Black Americans leaving from the South, coming up north. Then you had the Caribbeans coming in, right? So the white people are like, they're moving up to the suburbs. So like I said, with Caribbean people like Jamaicans, Haitians, Trinidadians, these people, any culture that's like of the Caribbean, these people know how to get jobs or just know how to get money. So they're going to save up their money and move into these places where these white people have left. And they are in the houses that are tree lined and things of that nature. So, and as I read earlier, the U.S. was opening up for these migrants who were proficient in speaking English, who were pretty much well-to-do, coming from good working class back in their homeland. So yeah, they're not just just slumming it around town. These people know how to get things done. Okay. So in the post-civil rights era, West Indians, especially the better educated, have access to much wider array of jobs in the mainstream economy. Higher education, including elite colleges and universities, are more available. Because these people, they like, and not for nothing, there's some people that make fun of Mexicans. Oh man, you listen. Yeah, they'll all cramp up in one house, but guess what? They're saving their money, and then one family ventures off and gets a house. The next one, because they know how to they do that in their land. But the problem is in the islands, right? Their government is crazy, and they're squeezing the people there of all the little bit of money. They're not raising the job wage. Right. So when they come to America, the job wages are where it's like $7 there. We got New York City's like at $16 minimum wage. So you're damn right. I got my family. We're going to see how we're going to do this. We'll go out and venture there. Right. And yeah, we're hearing news about the migrants and how they're acting crazy, and there is clusters of them, but for the most part, it's again media and propaganda. flaming this this fire. All right. So again, reading out of this book, just a couple of excerpts here by Nancy Foyner, West Indian Migration to New York. She says, as Philip Kennett's 1992 details in Caribbean New York, the first cohort of West Indian immigrants played down their ethnic distinctiveness in public arena, i.e., they're not going to speak their language, right? They're not going to really, show you too much about what they, how their culture is. They're going to pretty much done on this another, for better lack of words, they're going to fall into the blackness of things, right? They're going to assimilate the way a Black American acts. It sounds crazy, but yes, this is how it is, right? We're all adults here. We're all intelligent. This is not to bash or discredit any one group of people, but when we're having conversations about race or complexions and skin and discrimination and things of that nature, it can get a little funky. But when you have an understanding of the history of things, you can't get upset. You can't. It's like, okay. I'm going to pause right there for a second. A couple of weeks ago, I was on somebody's panel and I was letting them know, I was talking to the panel and I was quoting my source, 100 Amazing Facts of the Negro by J.A. Rogers, and explaining that there were, in fact, white slaves, Slavic, that were enslaved by melanated people. And this guy was like, no. I said, yes, in New York. And it almost, so I questioned him, like, so are you mad that there was white people that were slaves? Like, that's what it was sounding like. Because he kept, like, trying to, like, debate me, like, no, there wasn't. And another guy had said, it sounds like you're mad that there was white slaves. Because people want to have this victimhood about all Black people were slaves. And no, that's not the case. And guess what? They weren't Black. They were indigenous people here. And if you look at the percentages of how many Africans was really, especially in Northern America, because there wasn't that many, the people who were, especially like in New York City, you had the Lenapes, right? And the Iroquois, Algonquins. That is not African. But when you have these inbreds that came from Europe and started establishing the 13 colonies, Boston, Philly, Connecticut, all the New England, going down to Virginia, Jamestown, right? It wasn't Africans that they had up there. And you can't all think that these were all white men that were coming over here establishing the 13 colonies either. There was melanated people, and that's a whole nother story as well, because there were melanated people that were in high positions, high-ranking positions, that were coming over here as well. So where did you think those white slaves was coming from? They were coming from Ireland, Scotland, in Europe, Germany. These were the destitute, the poor, the criminals, prostitutes. And they were being brought over to the North America to be specific, that there was the white slaves here first. And then when the white slaves, they wasn't working out. They started rounding up the indigenous people of those lands. You get where it's going? So we've been taught a whole big lie. We've been taught a narrative that fits a certain group of people. But when we know the truth about these things, or we get to get a better understanding, I would say, because I don't even know if that's all the truth, but when we get to a better, a piece of hair there, a better understanding, understanding of what really was going on, we can then get out of our feelings, and we don't have to be upset about these so-called pale skinned European people doing the whole taking the slavery and all that stuff, because in actuality a lot of stuff is written backwards. All right, so let's continue, and then I'll have the panel open. So yeah, so the Caribbean people also were facing racial segregation as well. And they were again, growing up, kids would call like if somebody was speaking Jamaican, or they knew it was whatever, they would say, oh, you're a Jamaican booty scratcher, oh, you're an African booty scratcher, right? These are the foundational Black Americans, kids saying that to other kids. So you wouldn't speak your language because you didn't want to be called a Jamaican booty scratcher or a Haitian booty scratcher, because they were saying that. They was calling, and it didn't matter what complexion you looked like. They was still like, oh, you're foreign. They was calling you that. And I don't even know where that came up from. But so the kids would not speak their language, their mother tongue, their native language. They would speak English in front of the kids outside, in front of people. And when they got back home, they definitely talking their language, because the parents would want them to keep talking their language while in the house. But when they went out, the parents made sure you speak English. That's a discrimination. Okay. Let's continue, because I did write a light and I don't want to keep going. Okay, so in 1920, 152,000 New Yorkers constituted a little under 3% of the city's population, so Caribbean people. An even smaller proportion was Asians and Hispanics. By 1998, the city was more than a quarter Black, nearly 1/3 Hispanic, and 8% Asian. So, and again, so with that number there, I'm sure it was mixture of Caribbean, and we're going to use foundational Black American, even though that's not the case, but we're going to use those words today because that only makes sense for a certain group of people. But they will label everybody Black because of the skin color. But so I want to get to another case in point here, and then I think I will just go ahead and open up the lines. Because there's a lengthy thing there. I did want to talk about the Puerto Ricans really quickly, because that also, they were involved in hip hop. They were involved in the rap culture, that whole organic, starting off grassroots rap music from the beginning. And if anything, they've been the ones that have kept that breakdancing and graffiti and bombing still to this day. And they still do tours and things of that nature. So, we just don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater just because it fits a certain narrative, and you want to erase history. This is what it sounded like. It's like they want to rewrite history now about hip hop, and it's like, come on, like, leave that alone. Like, that has nothing to do with what's going on in real life racial debates and things of that nature. Leave hip hop alone. All right, so a number of well-known racial incidences in New York City in the past few decades involved West Indians. All right, and I remember one of these in Howard Beach, and I didn't know that he was a Caribbean person of descent, Caribbean descent. I thought he was just a foundational Black American, but because he was of a heavy melanated complexion. And they'll label in the news, they won't say Haitian born, Kenneth whatever, was struck down. No, they'll say Black boy or Black girl. And meanwhile, you see, so it's the media also that plays a part in this, telling you who you are when you're not. All right. So anyway, in Howard Beach, an incident in 1986, the victim, Michael Griffin, a Trinidadian immigrant who was struck by a car and killed after being chased on the highway by a group of white teenagers. Because in certain areas in New York City, so it's not Not so much to this day, but back then, especially in the 80s, 70s, 60s, and 50s, you couldn't go into certain all-white neighborhoods. And him and his friend, they were walking around in that area, and these Italian boys, a group of them, a gang of them, was yelling out racial slurs and saying, you know, ninjas, you're not supposed to be here. What are you ninjas doing? And this is going towards 6 o'clock in the evening. And they basically chased this young man and his friend out. And they had bats, but they didn't assault these guys, but they chased these guys so far that this young man, Michael Griffin, ran across the BQE, which is a big highway. And he got struck by a car and killed after being chased by these white teenagers. All right. The victim who sparked the Crown Heights riot in 1991 was a 7-year-old Guyanese boy by the name of Gavin Cattle, killed when a car driven by a Hasidic Jew jumped the curb. All right. I don't remember that one too much. But again, they'll say, you know, a little boy, or they'll put in the news, you know, in as far as like in newspapers, they'll write black, right? But, you know, when they do the history, when they find out, you know, family, then they change. All right. So it is not unusual for whites to cross the street or clutch their handbags when they see a young black man approach. And they do not stop to wonder whether this man is West Indian or African American. And that is so true. And that is what I'm saying. Again, because it doesn't matter what skin complexion you are, to them, you are all ninjas, right? Even though you're not. But, and you could be looking like you're scared too. Because you don't know, you see this white person, they might be the aggressor. So we both walking across the street like, and to them, you always going to be this. And, you know, you say, me no black. But they're like, we don't care. All right. So that let's move on to the Puerto Ricans really quick. Boricuas. All right. So this came out of an article called savingplaces.org. The title is called Becoming New Yorican, The History of Puerto Rican Migration to New York City by Gemma Solomon. This was dated October 13th, 2017. All right. So the history of Puerto Rican migration to New York City throughout the 20th century, while many moved to the country in smaller numbers early on, it wasn't until the 1950s when the great migration of Puerto Ricans came to the United States. So here we are in 2024, and in 1950, you had Puerto Ricans coming in here, and guess where they were going? They weren't going to Fifth Avenue and 72nd Street. They weren't going to Crown Heights. They were going to places like East Harlem in the Barrio and South Bronx, or the West Side or East Side of the Bronx. These are the places that they were going because they couldn't afford to live lavishly, right? Because they're coming from a place of destitute, even though, you know, they are part of the USA, but they're still coming. They're still an island, and there's still some poverty going on there. So when they come over here in the 1950s, they don't got all this money in their pocket. They have to work for it. And so who are they neighboring next door to? All right. In 1917, the Jones-Shafrod Act changed the status for Puerto Ricans forever. 1917. Now they were officially American citizens and could travel to and from the United States without the use of a passport. That's the only country, mind you, that can do this, that have had that status, because they were fighting against the Spanish and the American War, right? Back in the 1800s, something like that. So when we do our history lessons and when we do our due diligence, right? The argument is absurd. Absolutely. When we do our due diligence, we can't be in our feelings. All we can do is just nod our head and be like, all right, okay. That's it. I'm not arguing with somebody who wants to sit there and be in victim mentality. We're not doing that. I know who I am. And a lot of people, oh, and then there was the other thing when I went on this live a couple of weeks ago and explain, and talking about J.A. Rogers and, and giving my take and things of that nature and explaining a little bit of my ethnic background. And, that the Snickers, we could tell you had a lot of European in you. And I'm just like, and because you'd be surprised how many pale skinned Europeans is in your family DNA. It doesn't hurt my feelings. Once I knew, I'm not, people want to cherry pick which ancestor they want to be related to. And that's not the case. Bob Marley, case in point, Jamaican born, but his father was a pale European man from Germany. And he was out there doing some overseeing and whatnot and working on the land and things of that nature, right? And again, this Caribbean man whose history is his music has transcended generations throughout the world. Some people will forget that he's also a white man, right? But his phenotype looks black, right? We're using black. He's got, what they call nappy hair, right? He's all dreaded up or locked up, right? So you'll look at him like this is a black man. But he came from a black woman, so he's the black man. But what I'm saying is the skin color is what the problem, and that's what I think is going on here with this Johnny Come Lately argument in the rap culture. It's the skin type, it's the skin complexion, and you're missing the mark. And nobody was talking about that 30, 50 years ago. When hip hop started, we weren't like, oh, you can't be in our group because you're Puerto Rican, or you can't be in our group because you're Jamaican. Everybody merged together. Not everybody, but the kids in those neighborhoods merged together and was making something for themselves. They were tired of how they were living in these burnt out buildings and in the school systems that weren't really giving a damn about these kids. And the gangs that were going on and that was taking people's lives out. It was just as organic as that. So the fact that we come 50 years, 51 years later, and we're talking about, but the Puerto Ricans weren't there in the beginning. It doesn't matter. They were there and they're still there. So what is the problem? What is the point? That's why I'm saying it has to do more about the complexion of the skin than, because nobody's talking about, why is Dougie Fresh? So talk all that hot shit to Dougie Fresh and talk all that to Busta Rhymes because they Caribbean, but they look black, so you'll give them a hall pass. Out of here. All right, so with the Puerto Ricans, eligible Puerto Rican males could also be drafted into military just in time for World War I. No surprise there. That's why they got that. Why the United States was like, oh, you're one of us now, because they needed more people. They knew that they couldn't get people were like the draft, running away. Like, no, I got a flat foot or I got a heart condition. People was trying to get out of the draft, but they got the Puerto Ricans in there, right? So and they could be drafted just in time for World War I. This change in citizenship status caused many Puerto Ricans to be because of this, they came to the United States, basically. And also hurricanes that were ruining their crops and causing great financial crisis. Another reason of why the Puerto Ricans were coming here in droves. By the industrial city presented other hardships to the newly arrived Puerto Ricans. Discrimination, language barriers, and a lack of technical skills were all hurdles newly arrived immigrants faced on their job hunt. So while the Jamaicans, they were getting the Jamaicans, they basically, it almost sounds like a discrimination against the Puerto Ricans, right? Because when you hear what I was just reading about with the Jamaicans, they were looking for the highly skilled, the elite class and all this stuff. And here with the Puerto Ricans, they just like, yo, just do our dirty work. And remember when Trump was in office and they had a hurricane out there, a bad hurricane, and it got flooded out bad. You know, he was out there throwing tissues. I mean, you know, so Puerto Ricans still get the short end of the stick. Again, still. And now when we're talking about hip hop, you want to give them the short end of the stick too. No, give flowers where flowers are due, where flowers, you know, give props to where props is due, and that's it. Because guess what? All your hip hop and all this shit that you keep hanging on to, other countries now have adopted it, adapted it, and they've morphed it and made it into their own. And you got all these young guys getting locked up or they're taken out of this world permanently. So what are we talking about here? Potatoes. What are we talking about? Okay, so the third and largest wave of Puerto Ricans occurred in the 1950s, known today as the Great Migration. The Great Depression, World War II, and the advent of air travel were all leading contributions to the increase in migration during this time. One of the most iconic, important cultural and intellectual movements to come out of New York City was the New York Rican movement, which produced some of the best works of poetry, literature, and art and music of the 20th century. Miguel Argarin Jr., poet and founder of the historical culture institution, New York Rican Poets Cafe on the Lower East Side, was one of the first to reclaim the title of New York Rican. And stop there. I'm done. Also, Arturo Schomburg was a Puerto Rican who came to the States to fight alongside Black Americans, right? Because of the injustice that he was seeing here in the States, and what was going on in Puerto Rico. And guess what? When you look at Arturo Schomburg, he's a melanated man. And he would be what you would call a founding father of the Black movement. He was part of that Harlem Renaissance because he moved from Puerto Rico to Harlem, and he invested his livelihood and his time in helping with so-called Black people there in Harlem to get rights, to not be discriminated. And if you go to Harlem anytime you're in New York City, on 135th Street and Lenox Avenue is the Schomburg Library, where it has all your Black American history in there. All right. So again, we get caught up in the phenotype, we get caught up in the skin complexion, and we lose sight of what is really the message going on here, because we're worried about, you're looking at just the complexion. You're like, and it's like, again, this is the same thing that's going to this day with this vice president. Some people looking at her skin type, and it's like, she's a Black woman. And you're losing the sight that this woman unlocked up what you call Black people, Black men specifically. She has a track record. Your president has a track record. He's part of the 3 strikes out. He's coming from the Jim Crow era. But you talking about Trump is a racist? Everybody's in their feelings, and they're not doing the history. They're not taking the time to read, to listen. They're stuck in victimhood. They want handouts. And your great-grandparents did not sit by the sidelines looking for handouts. They freaking struggled, and they did it. All right, I'm going to drop the link because I digress. Now, I don't really want to make it a lecture per se, but I wanted to set the stage for us so that we can have this conversation and not come out here half-cocked, half-assed, talking out the side of our head. We're talking intelligently here, and we're not talking out of a place of emotion. Ronan says, oh, my baby was in here. It says the race equation was thrown in to make sure that they're not exactly. And what would you do if you are this slave, right? That you didn't want to become a slave anymore. You overthrew your masters. And I think that's what a lot of these so-called white people did during that time that they were enslaved. And so much so that they learned and they mastered how to do the same thing. And now they've become the master, and the Black people have become enslaved. And then when we're talking about the Moors, right, out of Africa, going into Europe, Spain, and how there was 500 years of their reign. And now you back to being on the bones and biscuits of things. So, yeah, man. All right, so I dropped the link, and if anybody is interested to come up, they can speak your piece. Remember to use code words, Pig Latin, because, you know, they say some stuff. You know, we can't say certain things. So. Hold on a second. But yeah, that's really just what I wanted. It's like it's stupid at the end of the day. Okay. And again, when we do our due diligence and we're reading and stuff like that, we understand also the alphabet boys, right? FBI, CIA, Black Lives Matter. Why? Because why? They can set the stage when it comes to being agitators, right? And so in this book, The FBI War Against Tupac Shakur and Other Black Leaders, I have read this to you all a couple of times. But in here, it mentions that they can cause all kinds of disruption and distractors within certain organizations and certain groups of people. That, case in point, with what's his name? Chicago, my gosh, I forgot what his name is. But anyway, he had somebody that looked like one of the Black Panthers in there, Fred Hampton. And lo and behold, he's a undercover cop, right? And Fred Hampton was trusting this guy and you know, telling him all these things. And meanwhile, because that's what the alphabet boys do, they will send in one that looks like you. All right, my brother Maybach is in the building.
Good afternoon.
Peace, brother Maybach.
Peace. Good afternoon. How you doing?
Your volume is just a little low. Hold on.
Oh, no, I'm just far away. Now I'm gonna get close.
Oh, okay.
You can hear me?
Yes.
All right.
What is going on? We miss you. I missed you.
Likewise. You've been running away. You've been not trying to be seen. You've been taking vacations, living life. I see
As I
you.
should. As I should.
Yes, exactly. You should do more of that. Because when just looking at your pictures, you know what I'm saying? Look like, you know, like you found the fountain of youth, like you found some gold.
I was with
like
my
you won the
mama.
lottery. No, I know. I'm just saying. No, I know you was with mama. I know you was glowing. You was happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
Should do that like once a month, maybe once every 2 months, whenever you can.
Oh, are you funding my trip?
All right, let's start a GoFundMe, guys.
Right. So Boxy can have a break.
Yeah. All right. So let me I wanted to share this
Let's go.
video with you, right? So I'm gonna put my camera on real quick because I wanted to
fair use.
how can I change this around? I cannot change the camera around. Well, I'm gonna just try to do it the old school way. Let me
Or
see.
you could just do the volume and let us hear it instead of playing the video. Just do the audio.
Okay, because I was gonna because I wanted people to see this. When you was talking about people coming over here acting a certain way. So I'm
Right.
playing I'm gonna play Beyonce. This video was done 14 years ago. This was when the earthquake in Haiti happened in 2010. So
Mm,
around that time, people started getting a little bit of wind that she's Creole, she's Haitian, or her mother and her grandmother's Haitian, but she says we're Creole. Now,
right.
if anyone knows anything, the only people that associate themselves or call themselves Creole is people in Louisiana. You cannot be from Texas, okay? Saying that. So I'm gonna play the audio real quick. Just listen real
Okay.
quick.
No, boo. Your mother is part Creole, I think. My mother is Creole. My family is Creole. But in Galveston, this little island in Texas, it was back in the 60s when my mother was growing up. It wasn't cool, and she didn't want her mother to talk Creole and her father to talk Creole in front of her friends. So she didn't learn Creole, which now she regrets it because it's so beautiful and it's a part of our history and heritage. And therefore, I didn't learn it because she didn't learn it. But all of my cousins and my her sisters and brothers.
All right. So you basically heard what she said, right?
Yep.
So she, her mother told her grandmother basically not to speak Creole when her friends come over. So because her mother did not learn Creole, to me, her saying that as a grown woman saying, well, I didn't learn Creole is crap to me that I'm not buying. Somebody else may make that excuse for her, but I wouldn't, because again, my parents spoke a lot of English to us
Mm-hmm.
when we was coming up, right? Not to say that they didn't want us to learn Creole, but we forced, and it's 5 of us. I have 1 brother and I have 3 sisters. We forced them to speak Creole to us because my older sister, I'll never forget, she said, "Ma, you don't need to speak English to me. I know by me speaking English to you makes your English better, but we want to learn Creole because we're already being taught English in school. So all of us are super fluent in Creole to the point where my children knows Creole. My niece, who's 3 years old, knows Creole. You see what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
her saying, well, because my mother didn't learn it, if you really wanted to, you would have learned it. Now, I'm gonna get off that. There's a lot of Haitians that do that too, that won't claim that they're Haitian. They'll claim another West Indian island that they deem to be cool, right? For whatever reason. And it goes back to like what you said now, like a lot of people that say they Creole, they trying to put a spin on it because, there still is to this day a negative tone or stigma with being Haitian. Now,
Mm-hmm.
if you would come to Boston, Massachusetts, you meet my old teachers from 2nd grade Catholic school to high school, every high school I went to, they would tell you that I was a super proud Haitian. So we never denied it, even back in the 80s when people was getting beat up for claiming to be Haitian. I can't say I had that story. The gang Zopound that started in Miami started off of being beat up and being bullied by Americans. Now, to me, I'm gonna say this: Americans started doing that to foreigners because how the whites was treating them. I felt like, you know, this is my own opinion. I'm not saying this is facts, but this is
Right.
how I took it because I'm an American born and I was around a bunch of Americans and I see how they acted. So, the clear folks was acting, Hasi Diddy because of their skin tone, and blacks was, anything black was, deemed to be like negative. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
now when, like you said, when the fluctuation of foreigners coming in or immigrants, whatever name you want to put on it, started coming
Right.
in, then it was like, oh, now we have a nationality that we feel like we above. So let's take advantage of that, or let's bully them, or let's down talk them, or whatever. I feel like, and that's when how Jamaicans started the Jamaican shower posse. They were super big in New York, super big
Mm-hmm.
in Boston, super big in Canada. So all these foreign gangs, Venezuelan, Colombians, Brazilians, Mexicans, it's all being oppressed by African, Black, melanated, whatever title you want to put on these, you know, American-born people from this soil. So all of these gangs was created because of being oppressed, suppressed, bullied, and all this other stuff. But again, there's lots of Haitians. I learned a lot of Haitians that or people that's celebrities that's in Hollywood or in the music. I didn't know Kango Kid was a Haitian until he did an interview with Sway before he passed away. Sway in the Morning. Kango Kid from UTFO. He was Haitian.
Wait, right there,
Sorry.
right there. Because you
Go
see
ahead.
what I'm saying? And how old was Kango Kid? He was like in his 50s.
Grown man, basically. Correct.
That's what I'm saying. They're now just starting to feel it's safe enough for them to say, oh yeah, my mother was Haitian. Oh yeah, my father was Jamaican.
Correct.
Because Busta
Correct.
Rhymes, I've noticed he's lately been speaking patois. And I'm like, back in the days when he came out with his rah, 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 you didn't know he was Jamaican.
There was none of that. Correct. There was none
Go
of
ahead,
that.
continue.
So Lester Holt, he's Haitian. LL Cool J, great grandmother was Haitian.
Right.
See, we all know the proud Haitians that put it out there. Wyclef being one of them, Kodak Black being another one. So there's a lot. I'm gonna salute them who was in the forefront, you know, repping their flag,
Exactly.
and stuff like that, repping their heritage. Tony Yayo, infamous one who was pushing that as well. So there's a lot of Haitians that are super proud, and I'm one of them. Before I tell somebody I'm American, I say I'm Haitian, and they like, oh, but you say you was born in Boston, Mass, but that makes you American. And I'm like, bro, listen, you are what your parents are. It doesn't matter where you're born. You are what your parents are. That's the blood that flows through you. You know, some people, they take it like you're anti-American when you sitting there putting hate, like Jamaica. You know what I mean? To me, like you said, to me, it's another thing, kind of like what Ronan said in the chat. It's like, you know, we all know these races or nationalities was to separate each other. That's why even with the West Indian culture, you have some islands thinking they better than the other islands. Exactly. I'm a proud Haitian, and I like to throw it in people's faces. If it wasn't for us, there would be no y'all. And I'm glad Buju Banton was on Drink Champs and he saluted Haitians as a Jamaican. Now, I got tons of Jamaican friends. I got tons of Bajan. There's another misconception about Boston that, you know, I don't know what people where they get the information from with the time that we in, where information is like, you know, in the palm of your hand. They just think it's no, it's all good. They just think it's all white in Boston, but Boston's a big melting pot of West Indians. Every island is out here. Listen, they used to call me a variety store because that's how much friends of different cultures. No, for real. It's like going to your corner store. You're going to find, you know how they say, oh yeah, go down the block, go see Foxy. She got whatever you want, whatever you need. I was that type of friend. I got all types of friends. I welcome everyone. And I love learning about different people's cultures. But again, I have to throw it in people's faces. I know Haiti's the way it is, because if people really do their research, they would know this corporation in France made Haiti the way it is. But besides that, Haiti is full of resources. When I say full of resources, iridium is being one of them. Iridium is only mass produced in two places, South Africa and Haiti. And when I say iridium, this is how we get cell phones, batteries, these flat screen TVs, radios, anything. You listen, they say an ounce of it is 1.5 billion. Another thing, facts. I'm a speaker.
That's Wakanda. People don't understand that. That's Wakanda.
Yes, exactly.
They're looking They're looking at Africa, which is also a Greek word, right? It's not even that. It's called a Kibalon. But anyway, semantics. We won't go to semantics. But anyway, some of these Americans here, it's like they don't know what they want. They don't know if they want to be Black one day, they want to be African another day. And I say this with all due respect, because you're looking outside the box instead of searching within. What is your mother? What is your grandmother? What is your great grandmother? If you can trace all that, that's phenomenal, because then you're not going to be looking outside the box and be like, oh, but yeah, the motherland is Africa. No, the motherland also is here in the Americas, Central America, South America, the islands, North America, and Canada. They are all, and they had all indigenous people here way before. And now some of these pale Europeans is spinning the block again with the notion of saying, you know what, yeah, we actually looking like America might be one of the oldest, if not the oldest of the continents, right? When you go into Pangea, and I mean, it's a whole big thing. And I don't, some people, you know, if I talk like that, they like, oh, you speaking spooky, you talk, and I don't, you know, because I only talk to intelligent people. I think I'm talking to intelligent people, but when I give them enough time to talk, I hear and I'm like, you're not on my level. And I don't profess to be so smart and highly educated, and I don't have papers behind my name.
But you know what you know, just like I know what I know. Yeah,
and trying to read and understand, overstand certain things, so I don't get my feelings hurt. I don't want to be in situations where I got to use my feelings. I want to use my mind. I want to be critically thinking about these things, so I don't have to feel like, oh God, you hurt my heart when you said that. Go ahead, continue.
And what I wanted to say is like Haiti will never be on its feet, and if people dig deep, they should understand why they're gonna keep doing what they're doing to Haiti. This is the first country to get their independence. Not just get their independence, but the first actually army to defeat Napoleon and them. Back at that time, it was unheard. So when you got like Buju said, when they told them to kneel and bow down, the Haitians was like, we ain't bowing down. So when you have people like that, of course you're gonna try to always keep them down.
Exactly.
Why you think they do? Like, why you think they do what they do to Africa? Why you think they got their hands in these places like that? Because they don't want an uprise to ever happen again. So if people just notice, come on, Haiti. Listen, another reason why Haiti freed almost all of South America. Okay, like I first thought it was 5 countries, then it turned into 12, then it turned into 20. Who knows how many more other countries? I mean, if we didn't help these countries, you think Colombia would have added blue and red to their flag if they didn't give us respect? They got statues of Dessalines and Toussaint in their country. Like, people really need to do. That's why it's sad. I mean, it's 2 ways that I look at it. It's sad with people still running with these ignorant narratives, and then it's sad. It's kind of like crazy how these colonizers did a number on us and bringing it back full circle to what you were saying earlier, where in every race, the light skin is held up high and the dark skin is frowned upon, but yet we in the same culture, whether you Puerto Rican, Jamaican, it's just sad, you know. And people really go, like, I'm not gonna lie, I'll be the first one to put my right hand in the sky. I think I said this on your platform. I was a colorist at one point. I dated girls that was light like you or even lighter, had to have natural long hair. But because why? I ran with this indoctrination, but until I grew up mentally, I was like, what am I thinking? There's some Black women out here that look better than these light-skinned females. Their attitude is better. You know, their personality is better. But again, that's why they said we don't just grow up in age, but you got to grow up mentally. We got to relearn certain things. And when you got knowledge of self, that's the most power that you can ever have. You know what I'm saying? Besides holding a pistol in your hand or something like that, you know, or having money. You know what I'm saying? But that's that power, that knowledge. Come on, man. Just having that knowledge is superpower. Like they said, why you think they work on what they work on to keep us dumbed down and not know where you come from? Because there's power in that. When you know where you come from. So like you said something earlier about grandmas and lineage. That was your ancestry test that you took by talking to your grandparents, asking them the history, the family tree. And like you said earlier, if everyone really does a DNA testing on their genes, they will find out we all mutts. We all mixed with a bunch of different stuff because of our colonizers. You might be French, you might have Irish in you. I swear to God, we all that guy, and I talked about him, the guy that lives out here that be doing the celebrity DNA for them. That guy is, I love that guy, because people be thinking, well, my mother's Jamaican and my father. And then when he does their DNA, he's like, oh, you're 10% Irish. You have 15% of Eastern European in you. You have British in you. You know what I'm saying? We all are mixed. We all mutts, man. We're not really fully what we are. And if you come from the Caribbeans, you already know we Tainos anyways.
Right.
You know?
So I want to bring up. I got my brother Rush here, and we got brother Ronan in the building. Salute, salute.
Salute, panel. You know you're my think tank. Yes, you are. Remember that last time I was up here?
Yeah, man. What's up, Rush? What's doing? What's good?
What's good? What's good, man? I was hearing this young brother, expounding on how Haiti helped freed a lot of country, which is a fact. That dude Simone Bolivar came to Haiti twice, man. You know what I mean? Asked for their aid or whatever. And I don't know if you guys ever heard of Grand Colombia, but Grand Colombia was a groups of countries like Panama, Colombia, and few Central American countries, and they all got inspired. Their flag derives from our flag because they were inspired on how we help the Venezuelan get free from whatever beef they had. Know what I mean, and
Correct.
Haiti's is a an incredible country with rich history, man. And man, I just want to salute this brother. Spreading the good message on Haiti, man, because we get looked at a negative light, man, at times, man. Due to the situation what they're going through right now.
Correct.
Yeah,
facts.
and
Appreciate
growing
you,
up,
brother.
like, and Rush, you're from New York, right?
I'm from Boston, but I got people in Dykeman or whatever I deal with. You know what I mean?
Oh, salute to you, brother. Dorchester up in here, man.
I'm
617.
from
You already
Dorchester
know.
too, man. Four corners stand up,
Oh,
you heard?
snap.
Oh, word. That's what's up, bro.
Yeah,
That's what's up.
yeah.
Yeah.
Salute from the west.
So why I asked is because growing up, you would hear bad terms, and they would say, "Oh, you a Jamaican booty scratcher, you an African booty scratcher," and they would talk about, and these were the foundational Black Americans saying this to the Jamaicans or Haitians, right, or Africans. And so, yeah, you would have people not speak their native language, not speak their mother tongue, because they would be stigmatized and they be bullied about their language, right? And so, anyway, I wanted to say that. But what do you feel, Rush, as far as with the hip hop and this kind of debate thing going on with who was there from the beginning and the contributions? What's your take on that, Ron? I'm gonna get to you soon.
My take on that would be all of us Caribbeans had a strong influence in the hip hop game. Know what I mean, like a lot of well-known artists from back in the day, they're not just the FBA, you know what I mean? Some of them are Jamaican, some are Haitian, you know what I mean, Puerto Rican, Dominican. Like, it's a nice mixture of I mean, that's what make America so special. Know what I mean? Like, you go to and I'm not knocking London or whatever, but London don't really got the same flavor we got, man, because we have so many so many different ethnicity that got crazy flavor, man. Know what I mean? You go to London, man, it might just be, Africans and just regular blacks that's from London. Know what I mean? They don't really got the kind of flavor we got. And I'm not knocking them. You know what I'm saying? Because London, they got their own style or whatever. You know what I mean? But I expound on that because like, everybody do what America does, and the reason why everybody does what Americans does is because they got us here, man. We the one with the flavor, man. Know what I mean?
Right. Salute to that. Ronan, what's up, Ronan?
What it do? What it do? Beautiful day. Hey, do you think it's funny that? Do you think it's funny that Haiti, right? People will say, "Well, we're not racist anymore. We don't roll like that." But Haiti is still symbolically gets the extra kick. You know what I'm saying? Extra, slight of they get a little bit of extra shade in their direction because of their history, and they say that we're not like that anymore. But they're still doing that to Haiti.
Of course.
That's long before Cuba embargo and all of that. They've been doing that a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's proof. There's proof that they owe reparations because they're upholding the same grudges and things like that. But when you do it, they'll say, "Oh well, we're not like that anymore. We don't do that anymore." So I think it's funny that they hold them to that.
Correct.
And saying they're eating dog. That's the best thing. That's the best gift. Trump gave y'all a gift, boy, when he said that. boy, oh boy, when that comes around.
You know, I find it funny, right? That I was on a platform and I told these people, because one dude was like, "Oh, I made phone calls, I did research, I called Springfield, Ohio. I asked him, I said, bro, let me just say something. I said, Miami is the first
With the
largest
cats and the
Haitian.
dogs.
Yeah, yeah. So no, this was on Philly OG. Philly OG, if he's in here, he'll tell you, right? So I gave him the
Philly.
same thing I said on here. I gave the same history, but again, I killed them with facts. I said no opinions, facts over feelings. I said, so Miami being the first, the biggest, you know, the number one largest Haitian population, New York
Right.
being the second, Boston being the third. How come we're not hearing these stories in these three major cities and states? So it's only
Exactly.
happening in spring. So you know what the guy said? Oh, but bro, I gotta, he's like, pardon self, but I gotta say this. This is a new fluctuation of new Haitians. I said, what are you talking about? New Haitians. So what? These other cities I just mentioned, these states have old Haitians, and now these new people. I said, bro, listen, I don't know what news outlets you watching, but stop watching that, them media outlets, bro.
He did it.
Because
He
you're
did him a
falling
favor,
for the,
Maybach.
huh?
Trump did him a favor talking that shit.
Listen,
But watch what happened. Watch what happened.
Listen. All the research, and I did all the research that people have been doing online traces back to, there's no evidence that to back these stories up. The people who started this story is these clear, you know, white S's, right? When I say S, you know, the people that stormed the Capitol, whatever, those type of people are the ones who spreading it, because why? Their area is being taken by, and I've been said this on multiple platforms. And me being American, I'm speaking from facts. Again, us Americans were lazy. There's jobs that we think we're better and we're above. These people, they come from a country where they're getting 10 cents on a dollar. They're getting 50 cents, no benefits, no nothing. Working minefields where it's dangerous, working hazardous jobs where no equipment, no gloves, no nothing. So now when they come to a country hearing, oh, I get dental, I get a 401k, I get this and I get that. Listen, of course they're going to come over here. And listen, this, and I'm glad people are coming out and saying legal, not illegal immigrants. There's a difference.
All right.
Listen, when I forgot when this thing was started with America, or this corporation started having fluctuations and deals. And listen, I learned this at 12 years old. A government that doesn't care about its people is the enemy. So you mean to tell me you'll take care of Ukraine? You'll send money to Ukraine? Why? Because there's money coming back into that. They'll let everyone, listen, not just Haitians. And that's what people get messed up too. It's not only Haitians coming in here. You got all types of nationalities, people from everywhere. North America, South America, they coming from everywhere, coming in here. And each individual that comes in here, they getting paid for that individual. That individual is going to make money and become a taxpayer. You understand what I'm saying? Come on, like it's a benefit. You think they letting these people come in for free for no reason? Oh yeah, I'm a nice guy. I'm the president of this country.
That's the legal game. That's a game thing.
Yeah, well, foreigners come in, they ain't asking no questions. They don't know the history or none of that shit.
Exactly.
So you could try to warn them about it, but hey, man, I'm already here and already got my plan. I gotta put my head I gotta look down and I gotta put my, pedal to the metal. I can't be, and so that's what they want, right? A more robotic workforce.
Correct.
So I want to salute to Ed in the building. He's up in here. If you want to come up into the panel, I dropped the link. Anybody wants to come through and speak, the link is in the chat.
And just real quick on my rant, those jobs left 20 years ago, 30 years ago. These jobs.
Correct.
Anybody 50 knows that. So so they basically throwing away. If you're on drugs, this and that, it's like America. Fuck these people up. And then just threw them away and just bring somebody else in to do it. If you don't like it,
these jobs was sent out of the country anyways. A lot of these jobs. Yeah. That's why homeboy Orange Man was trying to bring a lot of these jobs back to this country.
Thank you.
What I'm saying? Shoot, Brock.
Yeah,
Trump
was buying time.
That's on here. That's from Boston. He could probably contest to this. Brockton's a city where they made shoes. Okay, to the point where way back in the days they supplied shoes for George Washington's army soldiers or whatever, something pertaining to that. But that was a town that made shoes for all around the world. Okay, not just for one particular entity, but they made shoes for people all around the world. What you got? Lynn was a mills type of city. Okay, so like Ronan said, a lot of these jobs was helping this country. You know what I'm saying? And they shipped those to foreign land.
Yeah, Springfield, Ohio is a ghost town.
To that story, I don't even need to get
It
into
was a
why they
ghost
shipped
town.
those jobs out of the country.
Nobody was out
You know
there.
what
No
I'm
one wanted
saying?
to live there.
And
No
stuff
one's
like
moving
that.
out there.
But
Who's moving to
everything
Springfield?
is pre-planned, man. Everything's already been
Right,
written.
Maybach,
You know, I just want people to wake up
No,
and
no, my
don't be
bad, my
falling
bad.
for the buffoonery. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
I'm not just
Yeah,
up here because I'm a proud
I
Haitian.
think
No, I
Maybach's
still don't,
thing is
you
off.
know,
Can y'all
agree
hear
with
me?
them getting money
yeah.
every month when they should be giving us that
I
money.
think Maybach
You
is
know what I'm saying?
audio is,
$10,000 a month.
or he can't hear
These
us.
people are buying houses, they buying cars, they getting licenses, they getting whatever they want, and that's our money.
I can hear you.
That's owed to us, you know,
You know what I think?
and stuff like that. So I'm a person that keep it straight down the middle. You know what I'm saying?
Maybach, these
But
people
just
come in
don't
here.
fall for the propaganda, man.
The people
And that's
come in
another
here.
thing. Obama had signed a bill where these news outlets and medias can run propaganda. If nobody know, y'all can look this up.
Yes,
This is facts
yes.
that I'm talking about.
So Trump can
So
say that and not get
that's
sued.
all I got to say, man. Appreciate you giving me my time, Miss Foxy.
Go off, Maybach. Go on a full rant.
Maybach, I don't think he can hear us.
Can you hear me, Maybach? The boy that went AI on us.
He went AI. He did.
Who? I went AI?
Yeah, because we
what
couldn't
he
hear
said?
you. Because Brian wanted to say something, but you were talking, and it was like you couldn't hear us say Maybach.
Yeah,
Maybach.
Oh, nah.
I'm older,
couldn't.
man.
thought-
I forget my points so quick. That's why I be cutting in sometimes. You get me
Put
excited.
the 40 ounce
Maybach,
down
you get me.
overhead. Put the
Yeah,
40
I was
ounce.
just about to say that too. Put that reserve steel down.
You get the right brain cells popping in the right direction, brother. That's what you know that.
So I wanted to show everybody this picture while I'm looking at 100 Amazing Facts of the Negro. There is a painting that was done by a person of, let me see, his name is G.R. Bolgenaire, an exhibit in Spring Paris Saloon of 1880. It says a white woman and a black man put up for sale in Algiers market.
A what?
A white woman and a black man, they were put up in for sale. But if you look at the woman and you look at the melanated man there, he has on like a wreath over his head, right? So he looks like he is of a certain class. And then you have her, and she looks, when I was talking about how they was taking these slaves over from over there and bringing them here, this is what I was talking about. These are the prostitutes, the low class citizens and things of that nature that they're bringing here. And they were enslaved by people that look like him. So that's a picture there of what I was trying to explain about the prostitutes and the fiends and things like that they were bringing over here, because she clearly looks like she's, disheveled. So anyway, I just wanted us to see this, that, doing history and reading, AE is in the building. Salute. What's doing? Yeah. So that's when we read, we know better. Somebody had argued me 2 weeks ago. I was on a live talking about something similar to this, that you can't believe everything that's written in the books. No, you can't, but you got to cross-reference as well. You can't just take one thing. But this man has done extensive research, and so why wouldn't I take what he's saying as credence? And then I'm like, it's true, but it's also true that they put things in their books to hide from people that couldn't read. So they put the truth and some untruths in there as well. It's up to us to discern what's right and what's wrong.
Like the slave Bible.
Right. So Rush, you got anything else to add on to that?
Yeah. Repeat the question.
Oh no, I'm just saying if you wanted to chime in and just give some input.
Oh yeah, I mean, when it comes to, I guess, coming from a different demographic, you're gonna deal with some adversity, due to like systemic racism and stuff like that, and so on. Just got to be able to persevere and stick and move. I mean,
Right.
America's so competitive. We're not taught to respect cultures,
Mm.
and we don't even have one. Everything culture we have, they take it and put the Olympics to make a mockery of it. Everything we come up with.
Right.
So I got Navy Fuller book right here. I'm going through a little bit this morning. Have you read that book?
Which one?
It's called the United Compensatory Code Concept System.
No, you were telling me about that book too. Is there anything in here that you wanted to highlight and read to us?
He's the best. You can see his lectures at Victor of RWS.
Yo, Foxy, I gotta go. Thanks for having me.
Oh, real quick.
Yo, keep doing your thing, Foxy, man. I'll be in the chat later.
Hey, real quick, brother. Go to Victor of RWS and check Neely Fuller's speeches. And you can find this book on producejustice.com. It is You Thank Me Later.
I appreciate you, Rush.
What up, Foxy? What did it do? Yeah. There's someone I want you to meet. A YouTube friend of mine. Her name is Tiara the Oracle.
You were telling me.
Yeah, she reads cards and things. I keep telling her about you, but she, the youngers are.
Oh yeah. She's young. Yeah, I'll catch up with her.
Yeah.
I dropped the link. Anybody else wants to come up? I see my brother Smitty in the building. He says, just want to say hello. Don't mind me. Just keep going, sis. And EAE says Foxy and her beautiful New York accent is back. Yes, I made it.
Yeah.
We got a Mindful Monday up in here.
You're in New York Yellow Bone. You know that. That's one of the.
And the accent comes out. The more passionate I get, I guess the New York Rican accent comes out even more. But
good Lord have mercy.
The championship. That's right, Celtics.
Man, don't get me started. I'm a Lakers fan, so that's Maybach's only impediment.
So tell us again, Brother Ronan, what is the book by Neely Fuller?
United Independent Compensatory Code Concept. He said black people shouldn't even be talking to each other at all unless it's something productive or you get some kind of benefit out of it. He said you shouldn't be talking at all.
Ooh. Say that again.
He said you should be talking to each other at all unless it's something productive or pushing things forward. You shouldn't be talking about at all because we're at war. We're at war, and the ideology, people are so confused. They don't even have the ideology. They even know how to fight war is right, but this thing with sex and violence, which used as war against you.
Mm-hmm.
But he is completely he's complete. He's complete, and it's pristine what he did. The book is pristine. It's one of the best books I ever read.
I like that, and that makes sense.
Yeah, in the future, he will be like a Lao Tzu or something 500 years from now. Because he don't sugarcoat, he don't duck or nothing.
Mm-hmm. I have yet to read any of his books, but I will. Yeah. I like that makes sense. We shouldn't be talking to each other if you don't have anything productive to speak about. And that's another reason why I haven't done the Mindful Mondays in a while, because I was like, I don't really have nothing productive to talk about. And if I come on, it's going to be more like gossipy, and I don't gossip. I don't talk about
freestyle.
I don't have nothing to say.
Just freestyle.
I do freestyle, but my mind wasn't right either. I I just was like,
you got to go by your momentum. I mean, I'm all about momentum. You see how I do.
I really I forgot who it was that it was like, I'm out here ghosting. Oh, Maybach. I'm out here ghosting and stuff. But I mean, honestly, I don't. And plus, I'm still grieving. My father passed away 14 months ago, unexpectedly from a heart attack. And
my twin brother died.
Huh?
My twin brother died.
Oh my goodness. I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh, it's all right.
Wow. When did he pass away?
That was 2022, November.
Mm-hmm.
Veterans Day.
Ooh,
It's all right though.
I know it hurts though, but it's a death nonetheless. It's a loss, and
Yeah.
you know when you're not in the right state of mind, you don't really want to talk about nothing. You just want to kind of just go
You be
through the
it's like someone hit you in the head with a baseball bat,
Mm-hmm.
and you be sitting there all shell shocked.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Brother Ed says here, some people choose. Maybach, you're on mute
No, I
with
know
his
I'm
backpack.
listening.
Hey, Maybach, plug your gear, man. He
What?
got a clothing line.
I got what?
Some people choose not to take time to celebrate each other. That part,
Facts.
we all get up in arms with each other, and it's like, you know
Hey,
what?
it's actually gonna take your flowers, man.
Salute to that brother. He's right about that. That
Yeah,
message he put. We're quick to belittle one another instead of uplifting and building with one another. You know,
right.
and that's why I said these oppressors did a great number on us, because we're still running with that same type of attitude.
They feel like they invented you.
Facts. You know, but I'm
Remember
just saying
Tupac?
though.
Remember Tupac? What that one song? Tupac, you made me.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I'm still your child, no matter what. I'm
Correct.
still your child, America. You can't just throw me away like that. Then he said, America eats his babies. That was when he was coming out the jail, and there
Mm-hmm.
was interview with him here in New York. He was like, America eats their child. He's like, you can't
Mm-hmm.
just throw me away. I'm still your child, America. I'm like, ooh. And he was only 22 years old talking like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, but you look
Your
what
mama was
look who made
in
him
the
though.
New York 21.
Yeah, exactly.
Nah, but what I
Then
was saying, Foxy, you know
go
why
ahead,
he was
baby.
talking like that? Because of his mother and his daddy.
Of
You
course.
know? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Pac should have did his time and came out straight Machiavelli. He would still be alive.
Well, what happened was, and
Who
he
he was
said,
around, bro. It was who he was around.
The
well,
When he
not
government
was
killed
around
Pac.
Digital Underground, he
Government,
wasn't none of that. Pac wasn't on that type of time when
government
he was
killed
with.
Pac. Death
right.
Row was probably created by the CIA just to
It
get
was.
him.
It was,
Mm-hmm.
and it's
Just
in
to get him.
here. The Alphabet Boys is what got him in. And see,
They control the music industry. It's a Jewish mob.
they do.
Jewish
Correct.
mob, all that. And they sell drugs. They sell prostitution.
Cold words, Ronan.
The
Cold
Alphabet
words.
Boys.
Yeah. No, the J's. He mentioned the J real
Oh
quick, but
yeah.
yeah,
It's the mob,
Um,
okay? Italian, the mob. It's a mob.
yeah.
Mob
There
sells
you
drugs,
go. There
prostitution,
you
all
go.
that. That's
There
record
yeah.
you go.
company sales. Matter of
Correct.
fact, it's a show called The Truth Is. Look it up. This dude, he broke down the yeah, he's
Oh,
current. Like
nah, I
what was
watch
happening?
him. I watch him. I watch all
Yeah,
his
yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
You see his VMA breakdown?
Yeah, I watch every single one.
Yeah,
Every single one.
The VMA breakdown was excellent because it was real time what they were
Correct.
doing. Now I
Correct.
don't read the code books
Mm-hmm.
like far as going into what I don't find attractive,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
but you kind of have to do that to see. But
Exactly.
me myself, I don't have to. But he explained the Olympics, opening
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
ceremony and closing ceremony, and he explained the VMAs. And he said this is a worldwide.
Bro, if people are still watching those rituals and you know it's a ritual, something's wrong with you. Like
Yeah.
it's cool when we was young and dumb. We didn't have
And we
no
didn't know.
yeah, we didn't know, so we was rushing home to go watch I know I wanted to watch the
Me
awards just
too.
to see if Michael Jackson was performing when I
Mm.
was young. You know what I mean?
Running
But
home, running home.
yep, but once
Stay,
I
Right.
became a
hey,
teen, yeah, once we know
being
that
good,
go ahead. Go ahead, bro.
being good. Oh yeah, that was a big deal. But the mind control started as soon as we thought we were free. You started to see the mind control. Then the Steve Cokers came out and all that because um, as soon as we're trying to figure out and put together our broken culture, right? They throw everything on top of it, and it's like if you want your freedom, if you want your any kind of leeway or relief, you got to take this with it. And what's coming with it is chaos. Don't I mean we when you got Black Lives Matter, they killed all the leaders and hijacked the movement, and black people don't see that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to piggyback off of what you were saying, you know what I find crazy, right? They don't care about us, right? Like MJ said, right? But yet, every around this time, every 4 years, 4 to 8 years, when it's close to November, that's when they care about us. You get
And
what I'm
Trump,
saying?
yeah, but Democrats said you ain't getting shit. Trump out here kissing black babies and taking pot shots.
Listen, Trump went to the Bronx,
Yeah,
never at all, and he was in the Bronx like a couple of months ago, I think back in June, and that was the biggest thing. And a lot of people showed out.
they
A
got the
lot of
realest
people.
nigga, and the realest nigga he could find to come up there and shake his hand.
Talk about, oh, I like your chain. I got to get me one of those. Like, shut up, Trump.
Now, if
Yeah.
you can't do that, you should deserve to have to be president.
Oh, you
Okay.
didn't see? You didn't see what rally did he have? He was playing Many Men at his rally. I think it was right after, yeah, right
Oh
after
yeah,
that attempt. He was
yeah,
playing Many Men. You know what I
yeah.
Yo,
mean? Yo, this
if
dude's
nothing
he's
else,
funny.
right?
Listen,
If nothing
he's
else,
funny, man.
he is hilarious.
Nah, he is definitely. They're eating the dogs. I tell you, I tell you, they eating the dogs. They eating the cats. Pets. Yo, I was
Yeah.
watching that debate.
They
Yo,
was like,
that
"What the
debate.
fuck?"
Yeah, it
Watch what
had me
happened
just
for the. Watch what
laughing.
happened to that. Watch what happened to
It
that
was
company.
comical.
Watch what happened to the people because that area was dead. It was a part of dying America. It was.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Correct.
Now they come out
Correct.
there and then they show ungratefulness, right? Now what happens after that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're gonna be living good. That's the best thing. And Detroit is
Wait,
fucked
there's
off, right?
Haitians really living out there though?
Huh?
There's
They
Haitians
wanted
really
them out
living
there. They bought them
No,
out there.
they
So the
listen.
companies going
No,
out
no,
there.
listen.
Listen,
This is the way it works, though, right? This is the way it works, Foxy, right? So
there?
when you coming in, they appoint you where to go, and these are the real people that's speaking. That's in that town that
Uh-huh.
stated that the economy went up once they let them in and they started working. The guy was like, there was one guy who owned a company. He said they work like robots. They don't even want to take
Mm.
breaks. You see what I'm saying? So
they're so happy. They're
that's
so
why.
happy so happy to get it going. And I know that feeling.
hmm Like I said,
So
it's
Ed
these.
says now, Ed wrote in the comment section, salute to Ed again. Now that they say migrants are Haitian, they run into play on the public. Did
hmm
they not say the migrants have thousands of food, right, and debit cards? Now tell me
hmm
what the Haitians have one of those. I'm reading Ebonics. I'm sorry, Ed. I'm chopping your whole statement up. But yeah, it's true though, right? Because they migrants, they're giving out in New York City, they got them sheltered up over here in
hmm
high-rise hotels and whatnot.
hmm
And
Houses
honestly
too.
speaking, it is it's a psyops because I think
Correct.
it's they're working on the Americans psyops with the migrants because
It was a diversion, a deflection.
yes,
They
yes.
Listen,
diverted.
that
They diverted and deflected every um question that the American people have of. They
hmm
deflected all those questions. As soon as she asked about something, she
hmm
deflected the question. Then they hit him up. He deflected the
hmm
question. But then when they came down to some real deflecting, he brought up the Haitians.
that's why I
But he did
said
them, but he did them
it
a
was a
favor.
comedy. Uh-huh.
They're gonna
Correct.
Haitians gonna ball out. Thank you, Trump. Watch the whole country of Haiti gonna be loving Trump in 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I said it's funny. It was comical that you're supposed to have a debate with someone and speak on real issues on how you're going to change what's going on right now, but instead it's an attack on each other. To me, it's like two
Mm-hmm.
wrestlers that's about to go into a WrestleMania. You know, they prepping you up for November, and all they doing is
Mm-hmm.
talking about each other. You know what I mean? Instead of getting to the points, like Ronan said. That's why I said it was a comedy show to me. I was
Yeah.
shocked that Panero even came on my live and he put the eyes because I don't go live,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
I was watching the presidential debate live because to me
I
I was just
see.
laughing. Yeah, I was just laughing. So
So
again,
Ed brings up a good point as well. He says dogs. America do not allow harm to any dogs. Black men, yes.
correct,
Dogs, no. Exactly,
correct.
right? Because Peter be all on they behinds about some dogs and cats and stuff. But the black man, where's all the outrage for them?
Yo,
Hey,
didn't
hey man, y'all want to play?
Foxy
Y'all want to play?
didn't a New Yorker get dusted for punching a NYPD horse? Like they wanted to give this guy life. So in certain cities, they protect some of these animals, better than they protect the human being.
Like
So
those
that's
days.
why I'm like, yo, you like you said, it's a psyop, and some people are just being, they watching it and believing in it,
Right.
for it to be facts. And that's what's crazy. Like that one viral video, they said the dude was from Canada. He was a Canadian holding the geese by the neck, and they threw
Oh yeah, I
Haitian
saw
on.
that.
Yeah, they threw
That was
Haitian
in
on it.
Canada.
Listen, they showed a woman. Yeah,
But
facts. They showed the
he's
woman.
not even Haitian.
Hey,
Correct.
hey, what,
They
hey,
showed.
what if the Haitians sue?
Correct. So then they
What,
showed the woman who was supposedly holding down a cat, and they come to find out that woman's not Haitian. She's from Ohio. And actually, that happened in Canton. It actually happened in Canton, Ohio,
hey
and
man,
not
hey, hey,
Springfield.
hey, she was too pretty to be eating the dog. What the fuck going on?
Huh?
She was too pretty to be eating the dog.
No, it was a cat. It was a cat, but she
You know,
wasn't
man.
even eating it. Yeah. I think she
Yeah,
killed the
hey,
cat, but she wasn't eating it.
hey, you want me to keep it a
Yeah.
buck 50? Keep it a buck 50?
That video, man, that's why I said
Hey, let me,
these videos is funny.
I'm gonna keep it a buck 50. When I went to the Philippines, right?
Hmm.
Now, when I come out there, I went on a militant shit, and then I was like, I'm here to learn. I'm here to eat what y'all eat, do what y'all do. I'm in the back rainforest. I'm in the country. I'm not in Manila. They was eating dogs at one party. They was eating the stupid ass dog.
Nah,
Ask
that's
me that
that's
take
the
a bite. Ask me that
If
take a
that's
bite.
what, if that's what they have, then But
No,
that's
no,
them.
listen.
no, no. They didn't have to eat a dog. Hey, some of them back. That's what they do. And then,
Mm,
I had a couple bites, and it was good.
okay.
I've had rabbit. I've had horse. I've had crocodile.
I was
Yeah.
about to say that. I was about to say in certain parts of Louisiana, Alabama, those areas, they eating crocodile. But my thing is this though, right? We already know what nationalities
But they're
really be.
labeling a specific
No, of
group of
course,
people and making them
of
like
course.
humans.
Hey. When I ate the dog, they got embarrassed. Some people got embarrassed. Like you should be doing that. But I don't give a fuck on another level. I'm trying to learn any kind of culture any way I can get it.
Mhm.
Because black people need that
Listen,
shit. Like it's like being
no,
400
no.
years.
Mhm. Listen, no shots to my New Yorker, because we got a host right here. But a lot of y'all got those Chinese spots on every
Yeah,
corner.
yeah,
What do
yeah.
you
We
really
know
think you eating? Yeah, what do you think you really
cat.
eating?
It depends if they like you or not.
They're eating cat.
You're funny.
Look, and it said raccoon tastes good.
No,
Okay.
Hmm.
Maybach will get the chicken breast. You know what I'm saying? They don't like you, man. Throw a couple catfish in there.
So I wanted to read this really quick, gentlemen. Hold on a second.
Hmm.
Out of the FBI war on Tupac Shakur and other black leaders. So when we're talking about these psyops and in regards to Pac, and I hate these Johnny come latelys that kind of talk bad against Pac, and some have said that the mother took a plea deal, that's why she was out, that's why the government was looking at her. That Pac is an actor. Well, he did act. A lot of blasphemy stuff, and I was like, nobody was talking this stuff when he was out in 91, 92, 93, 94. Now everybody's talking.
Facts.
Now some people have some things to say about Pac. But
The,
anyway,
the government came
so
after a kid. The government came after a child. COINTELPRO.
yeah, and they were going to his school, which was in here, at the age of 10, looking for Matula Shakur and the other brothers that were in the. So he was being harassed. Anyway. So the scenario of Tupac's shooting both suggested Suge Knight's involvement and suggested that he was a low man on the U.S. intelligence operation hierarchy. While 170-pound Tupac was hit 4 times, 330-pound Knight miraculously avoided getting directly hit by any of the 13 bullets. Knight did a U-turn and raced in the opposite direction from the closest hospital, which was located on the block of the club holding the benefit show. Knight drove wildly through lights and over concrete mediums back towards the MGM hotel. Knight flattened all of his tires on the mediums and stopped when he got stuck on one of them. Police surrounded his car and ordered all at the scene to lie on the street, and then paramedics helped take blood-drenched Tupac to the hospital.
So when this happened, did he have a bullet in his head? He thought he was shot too.
No, he had, it was like a graze. That wasn't a bullet. Suge Knight never got hit.
The ricochet something, but I'm saying, whoever hit Pac was an expert. They would leave
Right.
it up. They would leave it up to a goddamn Southside Crip to do that.
Exactly.
Correct. Because that was one of. Go
look,
ahead.
after that shit happened, gangsters would have handled that shit different.
Right.
You put that nigga in a goddamn box and smuggle his ass out of town, nigga.
Y'all
They
ever see
were
the
thinking like
infamous
that.
video? You ever see the infamous video where this clear woman was saying that Pac was airlifted from
Right.
that scene? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that scratched off the internet. You can't even find that
That's
no
not really
more.
believable because I think the government has a murder on tape.
Listen, though, you got to go back to JFK when they were part of taking him down. Right.
Same thing. Trump is a white
And
man's Pac. He ain't gonna make it.
He
Trump is
got.
a white
You
man's
saw that
Pac.
did you see that he was attempted assassination again over the weekend?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
guy's FBI, CIA. How you
Correct.
get back there? How you get to do that?
Exactly.
It's never a regular person that's doing these things, man.
Never.
It's never
Never.
a regular
Never.
person.
Never.
It's
You
just
gotta
like
know. Hey, kid, the first kid, he didn't know he was a patsy.
Right.
They
Same
looking
thing
for
with
punk. They looking for
same thing
punk
with Lee
motherfuckers, man.
Harvey. Right.
I
And
was about
same
to
thing
say
with
that.
Lee Harvey
Yep.
Oswald.
Correct.
It's
Why would you let the
And
person who
Saran.
took out Lee Oswald so close to him, standing right there acting like he was
He didn't
like,
do it.
yeah.
This is
He
Judge
didn't do it.
Judge Brown defended Lee Harvey Oswald. He said he didn't do it. They had the other guy's name too. He was a patsy. The
Right.
thing is, people are so smart now that they see the shit, they figure the shit out. That voice won't be heard. The revolution will not be televised.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. That's a fact. That is a fact.
Boy, this is my think tank, boy. Y'all, I'm comfortable with y'all, man.
That's a fact.
Yeah, we have to have these intelligent conversations and not be in our feelings.
Correct.
Hey, I got like I told you, I got a house. I'm finished off my second house in the Philippines,
Yes.
and they're like, where you gonna move out there and all this and that. The freedom is immense.
I'm sure.
You're not gonna go to jail for just being a nigga,
Right.
doing nigga shit.
Listen, when you step outside this corporation and you go to the UK, you go to Belgium, Switzerland, Paris, certain places like that, you see what's really called living is living.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm
Where
saying?
Sweden, one of the richest countries in the world, Norway, Sweden, Switzerland.
Yep. Yeah.
When
Did
the
y'all
babies are born, they get a nice package.
did y'all hear that Putin was giving any and every American like citizenship to come live in
Yes.
Russia? Did y'all hear? Yeah, see? Like,
Oh, if you black, you can move to Russia like Ghana.
yeah. You can be
Here's the
whatever. You
problem, though.
could be as long as wherever you come, you don't have to come from here. Wherever you come from, they'll give you citizenship in their country.
No, you know what? I didn't know that.
And you know what's crazy? If you made this observation, when Trump and this, by no means am I capping for Trump at all. Listen, I'm not either way with any of them. I don't
Correct.
go down those roads. But first and foremost, no, people have to remember what we were dealing with Trump. They all so quick to have the vice president in as president and then saying, oh, Trump is this, that, and the third. Don't you remember he was a president like 4 or 5 years ago? So you know what you're up against, right? Secondly,
Go ahead.
And secondly, when he was in office, he kept certain people at bay. It was to a point where they were saying Trump and Putin is BFFs, right? Because he kept he knew how to talk to these people, and they're looking at him like, all right, he's a businessman, like that, because this is a corporation first and foremost. And then if you get this vice president in the office, those countries are not going to be looking, these superpower countries are not going to be looking at this country with respect. I don't care if it's always been, there's been president women and things of that nature in other countries. We are a superpower country. It's never been women, and there's no disrespect to that. But it is always been a man's world. They're not, and she has done nothing internationally for them to write and say, "Oh, she's got this under control."
Right. Correct. You don't find it funny that this was the most this VP was the most unseen vice president ever? You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? Come on. And
Get
it's
some
like,
water.
yo,
Oh, hey, get some water.
correct. You don't see that. It's funny that they trying to mask her true stories, like what she did in Cali when she was a DA in Cali. How them
Terrible.
people, you know, the guy that she tried to smoke for 50 years recently got out and was telling the story about when he was hit with the 50 years, how she was laughing at
Mm.
him
Art of dialogue.
and he was innocent. And that
Art
man
of
was
dialogue.
innocent.
The
He
Huh?
art
was
of
on.
dialogue. Yeah.
He was on the Art of Dialogue.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta watch that.
He's rich now.
Yeah, he got paid. He got paid.
Now, can you imagine sitting in jail and this bitch is in the mix of you not getting out
Correct.
and the bitch smoke weed?
Yeah, this female. But yeah, we get it.
Hey, I'm going to give you an example of how I think.
Just keep it PG.
Yeah,
You
you
know
know,
how you
yeah, it's PG. The Tyree Nichols trial started Monday, right? Last week, right? Tyree Nichols is a black man that was beaten by the cops in Memphis.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, now the Tyreek Hill situation happened Sunday, 24 hours before the trial started. Exactly 24 hours before that trial started to create confusion
Correct.
between Tyreek Hill and Tyreek Nichols.
Correct.
Mm.
No, they always do that. It's the
Yeah,
same thing when
but
they go ahead. Go ahead.
does Tyreek Nichols know what's going on, Maybach?
Mhm.
Does Tyreek Nichols know what's going on? Tyreek Hill knows what's going on. He
Mhm.
might he might be used. It could cost Miami Dolphins their season. He may get a trade over this. They took a risk.
Mm.
Nah, but see, if all the people that live in South Florida, they already know how the PDs are out there.
Mm.
They even changing
What is
South
suspicious?
Beach.
What
They
is
eat
suspicious
there.
about? What's suspicious about Lamborghini racing towards the goddamn game first season? It made immigrants look stupid because of his accent and how he rolled. You see a Lamborghini and you go pull him out. You know that's goddamn Tyreek Hill, or you
Mm.
know something. Well, your dumb ass out there. You don't know no. I mean, we're talking Madden cover. It's
Nah,
a psyop.
but Ronan, to be fair, there's a lot of dudes out there driving those type of cars that's not superstars or athletes, bro. Like I lived in
Um,
South Florida. I seen regular degular guys driving those cars. And when I say regular degular, I'm talking about D-boys. You know what I'm saying? Driving those Lambos, Porsches, and stuff like that. So that's common. So they're not gonna know that it's Tyreek Hill. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, why was he late for a game anyways? You know what I'm saying? Why was he late for a
you
game
the man.
anyways?
It's a psyop.
And the way he's talking to the cops, talking about gang and twin, who's
And,
melanated.
but Drew Rosenhaus was in the car with him.
No, he was on the phone. He was on the phone with him. Rosenhaus was on the phone. He called Rosenhaus on the phone. He wasn't in the car with him. Tyreek Hill was by himself.
Hey, you
But
should have
my
had a
point,
police escort. That's Tyreek Hill. You should have had a police escort. That's like Shaq
but
rolling to the game.
Ronan, I'm not gonna
LeBron
make
rolling to the game.
excuses,
They can do it to LeBron.
bro. I'm not gonna make excuses for him. Why was he late, bro? He should have never been late, anyways, bro.
You
But
should have
my
been three
thing is
hours
this:
early. It's a
listen,
psyop. That's why.
listen, listen. I live in Boston, Mass. Okay, this is the first state in a lot of stuff. I know how to deal with them now as a grown man when I get pulled over by them compared to when I was young and dumb and ignorant. There's a certain way that you could speak to them where it's not like you're bowing down. This man was calling police officers twin. Like,
I
what do
might do
you
it.
like?
I might do a show on that.
Come on. He was talking to them and calling them twin, calling them gang. Like, come on, bro. Like, so
Yeah.
he's being ignorant anyways by the way he was speaking. You see what I'm saying? He could have got out of that and been about his way. They could have gave him the ticket. All he had to do was put his window down. So I'm not gonna make excuses, bro. I'm not taking the police, the PD's side either
Sir,
in this.
sir, sir. This is Tyreek Hill. Madden cover.
It doesn't,
The first
Ronan.
game of
Everybody doesn't know.
2024.
Everybody
He
doesn't
had
know who
no,
Tyreek Hill is, brother. Come
hey
on.
man. Hey man,
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
look, y'all knock it off. He's front cover Madden video game cover.
Oh,
How the
yeah.
hell you don't know who Tyreek Hill is?
Ronan, you're
A
making it seem like
Lamborghini
Tyreek Hill
going to
is
the
LeBron
game. Okay,
James.
okay. You got a
You're making
Lamborghini
it seem,
going towards the game in Miami. They should have,
but
and it would
listen,
have put it. They should have assumed he was white.
Ronan, you're making it seem like Tyreek Hill is LeBron James. You get
He
what I'm
is
saying?
LeBron. He might be.
Oh,
It's like he is LeBron James.
bro, listen.
Nah,
The
because I don't know.
biggest,
I honestly don't know
If
who
he
that is.
leave, okay. If he leave, what happened to y'all? What happened to Miami
listen,
Dolphins if he leave?
Ronan, let me just say this, right? Because they had a dude on YouTube had a show about this, right? And it was the title was "Who's the biggest celebrities that's known worldwide?" The two biggest celebrities that is known worldwide, right, is Snoop and Shaq. They known in countries where we can't even pronounce some of these countries. You're talking
Mm.
about Tyreek Hill, brother. Everybody doesn't know who Tyreek Hill is. You're making it seem like, you know what I'm saying? He's Shaq or Snoop. Stop doing that, bro.
Okay. Wait.
Don't make
But
excuses for the man. Did you watch the whole video? The way he was talking to these officers? This is what I'm saying. When you was listen, when you're looked at as a celebrity, right? And I'm talking about the young-minded people that's looking at these celebrities as role models. Your son is looking up to him, right? And this guy is calling a cop twin and gang. Come on, bro. So we can't sit here. Yeah, he called. Listen, go watch the video. Yes, Foxy, he was talking to the cops and he said, "What's up, twin? What's up, gang?" This is what I'm saying, bro. So you can't sit here and make excuse. I'm not making excuses again. I'm not taking the PD
you
side.
don't know what
The
kind of drugs he was under on the way to that game.
okay, and then you still talking about, oh, they should have gave him an escort. Why is the best player on the team, right? The best player on the team, right? And he's the face of the team beside behind the quarterback. You're running late for a game, bro. That's come on, man. That's like saying Tom Brady
You're
was
right. You're
running.
right.
That
And
okay?
I'm
So
glad
that's
that
like saying Tom Brady was running late for a game.
you're right.
Like,
You're right.
come on.
Yeah, you're right. Because he's the face of the NFL. You're right.
Mm.
Correct. So this
But
is
you
what
know
I'm
what?
saying.
A golfer ran. Oh, not even a good golfer ran over a cop on the way to his event. And you know what they said? It's okay. It's okay. We understand, white boy.
Listen,
Mm.
KB made a YouTube show about that, and it's the truth. He said if Tyreek Hill conducted himself like a grown man, they would have
Kwame
just
Brown.
wrote him a speeding ticket. They would have gave him. They probably wouldn't even gave him a ticket if he just
Hey.
said, "Hey, come on," like you
Why
said,
didn't
right,
the conversation come up about how we should handle the police when they come to you?
bro? Listen,
The topic never came up.
listen. Let me just tell you something, Ronan. My parents, not being from this
Well,
country,
definitely not being hostile. That's for sure.
correct, told me and my brother, right, and my sisters, if we ever get pulled over by a cop, to speak to them with respect. It's not kissing ass, it's not bowing down, but bro, there's a certain way, okay, and I'm gonna speak on my own experience. When I was young and dumb and I was running the streets as a teenager in the 90s, bro, I used to be ignorant. That got me in handcuffs every time. I'm telling you off of my own experience.
Oh,
Last
military
week,
saved me.
so hold on, bro. Last week I got pulled over. I got pulled over by Boston PD, and I spoke to this gentleman like a grown man. It's not about kissing, like I said, but it's not about bowing down. But I spoke to him like a man that I am, and
Right.
I was let go. You see what I'm saying? I wasn't in handcuffs or nothing like that. So, bro, the way you conduct yourself, bro, sometimes put you in that. Come on, man. Like we can't sit here and
It's a
make
simple
excuses.
question. What do you want me to do?
What?
It's a simple question. What do you want me to do? But
Who?
people,
What I want you to do?
when you see the cops, hey, what do you want me to do? But in the past, we have seen people got a car absolutely innocent and get killed.
I'm not saying those didn't happen, Ronan. I'm not saying it
I'm
like
not
the
saying
lady.
you said it
Yeah,
didn't happen, but
like the lady who got killed inside her house. I forgot the woman's name who got
Sonia
shot.
Right.
Matthews. Sonia
Yeah,
Matthews.
okay. There you go. Right? Once they did that, well, once they checked her perimeter, once they checked her property and noticed that there was nobody there, she said, "I hate. It's like I heard somebody around my property." Once they checked outside and said, "Oh, we checked 2 blocks away. There's nobody here on your property and all that," they should have never been inside the house. Why did they go inside the house? You see what I'm saying? So
Because
again, I'm not.
white people. Hey, what up, homie? White people completely in control of her life. Everybody knew who she was. If you see the tape, they was over there like 2 days before that talking to her, and she was
Mhm.
talking. nothing threatening or menacing about her at all.
Correct. But you
Mm.
see, the guy got
This was,
triggered.
this was,
Hold on. But you see how the main cop got triggered once she said, "Why don't you grab the Bible?" You know what I'm saying? He got
she had the
triggered.
cops on the phone. She had a premonition of her death already. Come on, Maybach.
Bro, listen,
If you
I'm
listen to
not.
the video 2 days before, she said, I had a dream about you too. I had a dream about this and that. She even called the head of the cops on the phone. She
I
even had the
get it.
cops on the phone because she said, please don't kill me. All they had to, like you said, all they do was follow protocol. But when white people are completely in charge of the whole goddamn town, like obviously how it is, is that Springfield too? Is that Springfield? Was it Michigan or something? Was that a
I don't.
Springfield?
I forgot where that happened at. I forgot.
You know the Simpsons live in Springfield too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's supposed to be. I think that's Springfield, Mass, not Springfield, Ohio, based on The Simpsons. Because the executive producers from like Massachusetts or outside surrounding states, New England.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
I feel that story. I didn't even watch it because it was just too much. But again,
I take this call, man. I'll be back.
certain
Yeah.
all right, certain stories like that are
Hmm.
it's wild because I, in my heart of hearts, I feel like these stories are brought out to bring
Correct.
racial riot
Correct. Tension. Racial
tension.
tension. Correct. Correct.
Yeah, so
Correct.
I'm like, it's unfortunate that happened.
It's
But
not a coinky dink though that it keep happening. Every
yeah,
2-3 years they keep throwing stories like that in our face.
exactly,
and
exactly,
and
and
that's what I'm trying, and that's the point I was trying to make. Pardon self, right? I don't mean to
go ahead.
cut your wisdom, but
No
that's the
problem.
point that I was trying to make to Ronan. There's a way we can handle these situations. Like, let me give you another example. Four teens that I mentor was walking down the street, minding their business, not doing anything. Two
Hmm.
police officers rolled up on them in the city that I live at in Dorchester, rolled up on them and started saying, "Oh, we got a call about four suspicious kids walking down the street." But yet, mind you, there's other people walking on the street, same
Mm,
sidewalk. So this is what I'm saying. And because I mentor them and I taught them a certain way to handle and conduct themselves when they deal with again, they said the best life experience is you going through something yourself. So again,
right,
I was once young and dumb. The minute that I was like, "Oh, what the f you coming up to me?" I ended up in handcuffs. So this is what I'm saying. I got pulled over 2 weeks ago, and I conducted myself like a grown man because I want to make it home. So that's the point that I'm trying to make to Ronan. Talking to police officers like, "Yo, man, calling them n words and they white again." Times is different. When we was
right,
coming up in the '80s, 9 out of 10 police officers was from our neighborhoods. So they knew how to deal with the people in that community.
hmm,
Now things done changed. You got people coming from driving all the way from Long Island, working the inner cities of the Bronx, uh, Manhattan,
right,
Brooklyn. You get what I'm saying? They're not used to dealing with people in those communities. So that right there is a number one disconnect right then and there.
right,
Again, you get what I'm saying? So
hmm,
listen, and it's all by design. Everything is by design, anyways.
right.
That's why they get
So
immunity.
we got Brother Wally up in this platform. Salute, Wally. What's up?
Salute, Wally.
What's going on?
Salute, bro.
We're chopping it up. I've been on hiatus with the Mindful Monday for a couple of months. But I felt like it ties into what's going on right now, as far as with this presidency. And it's been for a couple of years. I didn't even realize it, but it's been a couple of years that certain people are talking about, Puerto Ricans weren't there in the beginning of rap music and hip hop and all that stuff. And they might not have been there in the inception at the beginning, but they were there. I
Correct.
think, and my husband had told me that it was Busta Rhymes that was like, oh, it was Caribbeans. He was like, it was Jamaicans that started rap music. And
Correct.
I was, oh, so he did this. He opened this can of worms. And Busta
Yeah.
Rhymes has been moving very fugazi the past couple of years. So it's this back and forth of who came first, the chicken or the egg, and then it puts another spin on. Well, he's saying Jamaican started hip hop. Then where does it leave the foundational Black American? So that's what we're talking about. And then we're just, piggybacking off, racial thing. But what say you, Wally?
Okay, so as far as the conversation I just came into, as far as the Tariq Hills thing,
yeah,
I'm in Florida, so I pretty much I got that news. How do I want to say this? It's a mixed bag for me. As far as for what I've been told and understood with these laws and how they deal with the cops and everything else, technically, Tariq, on a technical standpoint, Tyreek Hills did nothing wrong. On a technical standpoint.
Okay.
Because let's get one thing clear, right? He was speeding. Okay, that's a traffic violation. All right.
Right.
They go out there. They go stop him. Okay. He let him know to stop. He stopped. And then he tells him to go up and park his car. Does that. Tyreek already knows he speed and is like, okay, here's my ID. There you go. Boom, give him that. And then he pulled up the window. Now, the police officer wanted the window to be kept down. Now, let's be very mindful about this. So, as far as someone I know that he calls himself a First Amendment auditor that I know personally, he tells me, as far as like times that I've learned on his side of the channel, his side of the world, that in most cases there are not, you really do not have to really abide by what the cops tell you. And the reason, and let me be very clear when I say this, basically meaning, yes, in some cases you would think you have to quote unquote, what's the word I'm looking for? Oblige with the cops, or just having some cooperation, something like that. So you just to be able to just cooperate and everything else with woo, but that doesn't mean you have to cooperate with everything, especially if it's not the law. So for instance, if the cops tell you to put the window down, this and that, it's not ultimately by law that you have to do these things. It's one thing you want to cooperate as far as if you're talking to the police officer, seeing whatever, like Tyreek did everything, regardless how you want to like it. Neither if it's the attitude, neither is all this. I mean, yeah, the attitude part could have been smidging down, however you feel. But at the end of the day, when you really look at it from the baseline premise of handing his ID, waiting for the ticket to be served to him, and everything else, that did need to happen the way that it did, regardless of the fact. You're just a cop with power, and you know that you're not losing anything, and it's like you just go out there and do it. Funny enough, because I haven't even did a reaction to it, but later on there was more information that came around and said that he's been doing this multiple times. This is not his first transaction of him doing this. So while everyone else is talking bad on Tyreek Hills or throwing him down on the bus for his actions with everything and all that and the results of the body cam, this cop been did this multiple times with multiple people. This ain't his first rodeo. So it just goes to tell you, oh yeah, we're gonna give the cops the benefit of the doubt, but we're not gonna give the everyday people the service that we so-called say we're giving them. And the thing is, who ends up paying for the cops? Who pays for the cops? Pretty much what people say. The people that exactly. So
that you want to.
It's a hypocritical thing that we're paying you, and yet this is what we get from you.
Well, here's the thing also. So great point that because I didn't know what was going on. I still don't really know, but Brother Ed has said that these rules do not apply to Black people because systematically it's always kind of like the white cop versus the Black person when it comes to these type of transactions. But here's the thing, and also Ed has been, spot on right now with the chat, because he also said that the police are humans, right? And they're civil service workers. They're like you and I when we wake up and we go to sleep. there's a lot of people out here, and police departments, they're not as there's more of us than there are them.
Correct.
And not for nothing, but some people that are walking around here, they are short a sandwich in the picnic basket.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm doing my job, i.e. a police officer, I don't know what I'm getting myself into. And they're probably just a little nervous as we are, but they have to be professional when they're addressing somebody, because they don't know what they're going to get.
Correct.
And so that's not to vouch, and stand up for them. But again, they are humans at the end of the day. They are doing their jobs. Is it the slave owners, the capturing, as we know, historically, why police were invented? Yeah, it can go all the way back to all that. But at the end of the day, we are humans. We are people. And we do want them to protect and serve the community. However, they're dealing with a lot of in and out people, people that don't belong here in the States. Just a mismatch of personalities, and it's like you don't know what you're going to get. So you always got to be on guard. And if you talk like Brother Maybach has said, if you're talking to them civilly, and you're giving them the respect in that sense of they're doing their job. Let me comply. I probably did something wrong. A lot of people are walking around here like, I didn't do nothing wrong. Why are they attacking me? But you're looking kind of suspect.
Correct.
Now the racial profiling is a disservice, and we had the stop and frisk here in New York City. And honestly, truth be told, it needs to come back, because New York City is running amok with some craziness right now. But that can look, well, you're for the police. And I'm like, no, I'm for safety. And if somebody's looking a little suspicious, yeah. All right. And it's not fair that innocent people get clumped into this profiling as well. But I mean, you got to understand the average person that's committing these type of offenses are people of color. Whether it be a Puerto Rican or a Dominican, a Haitian, right? Or just a foundational Black American. If you look a certain complexion and you're wearing certain clothes that profile, that they have this as a profile for you, it kind of like, damn, but I'm just walking across the street. We had a young man here back in 2016, Khalif Browder. And the cops were called in for a robbery or theft rather, and Khalif was walking around. It was nighttime, and he had a book bag, and they roped him up and said, "Oh, you have this book bag. Where did you get this book bag from?" And he's like, "This is mine." And he didn't have anything of what he didn't have the content in the book bag of what the person who called in the robbery said was in the book bag. Meanwhile, because he didn't have money to get out and post bail, he sat in Rikers Island for 3 years. Most of that time he was put in solitary confinement. Little Black boy, 16 years old. And he was getting picked on by the inmates because he had like a mental disability. And they were picking on him. So he just started fighting back, because he's like, I'm not going to be bullied. Plus he's a child. I don't want to say he's a child, but he was a teenager in an adult facility. And so he had to fight for himself, fend for himself. Anyway, he got out. His mom, they were able to put bail up for him, but he sat in prison waiting because they weren't giving him a fair trial because he fit a profile.
You talking about the guy who unalived himself? Talking about him?
Yes, when he came out and he was doing, trying to get his back, but he just couldn't fit back into
society.
General society. And he unalived himself in his mother's house, and he was about 20 years old at that time. Yeah,
I remember that story.
Yeah, unfortunately, it is like, it's unfortunate, but then it's like, what do the cops do? You know what I mean? Like, what are they supposed? They can't. I mean, it's a no-win situation, but at the end of the day, just comply with them. Whatever they're asking for, to the extent of the legal, because you got to know your legal stuff as well. You got to know why. But if you're running lights and you double park somewhere, or you're this, that, and the third,
you already wrong.
Right.
Correct. So Wally, this is the point that I was trying to make, right? Because this former cops in my area, former military, right? Now, the window situation, why they wanted his window down, he had tent, right? That's for their safety, right? So if his windows was clear, they wouldn't mind that. But
Right.
bro, I know auditors. There's a big auditor from Philly that's been doing auditing out here. There's another guy that looks like the wrestler Shawn Michaels. His channel's called Let's Make a Deal, right? No, the deal is he shows people, and there's the Terminator. They show you on how to deal with these police officers. And before you came in, I don't know if you was listening. Like I said, when it was me, Ronan, and Foxy up here, a lot of these cops is coming from suburb areas, working inner cities,
Right.
right? So they're not used to dealing with certain people. Now, again, I told the story about 2 weeks ago. I got pulled over for speeding. When the cop came up to my window, he said, "Hey, you know how fast you was going?" "Yeah, officer. I knew how fast I was going. I'm late to pick up my children from school," right? He didn't even ask me
Mhm.
for my ID, nothing, because of the way I spoke to him. I didn't say, "What's up, twin? What's up, gang?" I didn't talk to him like he was a hood dude. So again, I'm not saying Tyreek Hill deserved what he got, but the way he was talking to that cop made that cop power trip when
Mm.
all he had to do was put the window down. He kept the window cracked and put it back up and said, "Hurry up. I gave you my ID. Just write me a ticket." Now, if he said, "Hey man, I noticed I was speeding. I'm late for my football game. I'm Tyreek Hill," situations could have been different. Again, I'm in Boston, Massachusetts, one of the racist cities. Again, I was young and dumb in the 90s. I was a teenager. Every time I spoke ignorant to these police officers, I ended up in handcuffs. Bro, again, we already know the cards are stacked against us. So I want to make it home. I want to
Right.
go home alive. So I'm going to comply with what they want me to. I get what you're saying about we don't have to do this. We don't have to. I watch audit channels all day long. I can even share some of the links with you to where they, again, I mentor youth on how to talk to these police officers. Again, it's not about kissing ass. It's not about bowing down and making them feel more superior. I'm just not going to give that police officer that pulling me out the car, snatching me by my neck, slamming me on the ground. I've been there and done that when I was a teenager. I'm going on 48 in October. I can't have that same situation happen, especially if my children is with me too. Come on, man. So this is what I'm saying. The cop was wrong and Tyreek was wrong. They both was wrong in that situation. There was no more who was worse than other. But again, why is Tyreek Hill saying gang and twin to a police officer? Like, come
Mm.
on, man. Like, bro, I watched the videos tons of time. And like you said, you might do a show on it. I don't know how many times you watched the footages, and I'm talking about the full footage. Even the
No, I know.
cops,
I watched it.
yeah. So come on,
So
calling
wait.
a
So
police officer twin. Come on, go
who
ahead,
is this
Foxy.
guy? Maybach.
He plays for the Dolphins. He plays for the Dolphins. He's the
And how
star.
old? Okay. And
He's
how old is
Yeah.
he?
He's in it probably what, Tyreek, late 20s, early 30s.
So he's not a child.
No,
And that's that street culture shit that most of these young
thank
kids,
you,
young adults
thank you,
are not raised on etiquette, right?
thank
And
you.
they're not
Right,
raised on being
He's 30.
polite, courtesy. So
right.
everything is very street oriented. You got young females calling dudes bros and this. I mean,
There you
it's
go.
very,
There you go.
there's
He's a
no
grown man using teenage language, calling a
right.
cop twin and gang. Like, come on, man. Are you
I,
serious? He's a
right.
nigrum. Just put it like that. He's a nigrum.
He's a
That's what
ninja.
Tyreek Hill is.
Mhm.
Facts. He's a nigrum.
The conversation was fumbled or ignored. Yeah.
Like, I lived
Yeah.
in South Florida.
And
I lived
right.
I lived all over Fort Lauderdale,
Mhm.
Hollywood, Miramar, Broward County. I used to live 5 minutes away from the Broward Mall. I lived in Orlando, went to high school in Orlando, lived in Orange County and Kissimmee and Seminole County, lived in Miami-Dade, okay, Little Haiti. I've been there and done that. Bro, we gotta stop making excuses. I'm not saying it was right, but the way he talked to the cop, come on, you calling a cop twin and gang? Like, what are we doing? And you're supposed to be a star of the NFL. You're the face of the Miami Dolphins football team. Behind the
Mm.
quarterback, you're the star. Come on, what are we doing? And this man's a role model to a bunch of kids. He has a football camp, and you got
Wow.
kids looking up to you. Like, this is what I'm saying.
So
That's my argument. Go
what
ahead.
is his what was the outcome?
He got slammed
Really?
to the ground and ended up in
Oh.
cuffs. Yeah, he
Mm,
ended up in cuffs. They took him to the station. He got released. He made the football game. So this is what I'm saying. He was late for a football game, the first
mhm,
game of the season, Foxy. And you the suit. So imagine this. Let's flip it around. Imagine it's Tom Brady speeding in Massachusetts, right? Foxborough. Foxborough is like 20 minutes away from where I live at, right?
mhm,
So he's
mhm.
late for a game, and this is the face of the franchise. Tom Brady gets pulled over by a black cop, and he's calling the black cop, "What's up, gang? Twin? Hurry up. Here, just take my identification and write me a ticket and hurry up." They're
Well,
like, "Put the window
they'll
down."
probably let him go, but
Yeah, but what I'm saying is all he had to do was just put the window down. They was doing it for their safety. And when I had this officer who worked as long as I've been alive, he was a
mm,
police officer. Okay. And when he watched the footage, I watched it with him. He said by him not putting the window up made this police officer power trip. And it's because of the tent. So he broke it
right.
down to me and said, Mel, if his window was clear and they could see inside, they wouldn't have a problem. Okay. Because there was
Exactly.
other cops there too. Because usually when you get pulled over, just like I got pulled over, there was one that came to the driver's window speaking to me, and there was one on the right side looking into the car. He was all
Mm,
up in the back seats with his eyes, and he was all in the front seats looking for something. Do you know why I pulled you over? Yes, I was speeding, officer. Why you speeding? What you in a rush for? I said, yo, I'm late. I gotta pick up my children, and if I don't pick them up, I gotta pay $100 and this and that. All right, slow down. Thank you, officer. Gone about my business. You know why? They're not out here looking for that. They're looking for guns and drugs. I don't know about anywhere else, but I know that's the main story in a lot of these cities. That's what they're looking for: drugs and
mhm.
guns. He seen that I was honest with him. I didn't play no games. I didn't say gang. I didn't say what you pulling me over, officer? What the fuck? When I
Right.
did that, again, when I was doing that, being ignorant when I was a teenager, I ended up in
Mhm.
handcuffs. I'm a
Yeah.
grown man now. I got to conduct myself as a grown man. I'm a father of two. So we can't sit here and make excuses, man. I'm not
Right.
saying Miami's not like that because I lived in Miami. I know how it is. We already, you know, 10 white guys can drive by. They'll pull over every black person before they pull one white person over. We
Well,
know that.
look what Ed just wrote, and that's there. That's right there, concrete. Look at Justin Timberlake. He apologized for driving drunk and said, "I'm sorry, I was wrong." Now he's getting praised for being a good man.
Correct. Correct. Of course, they're going to demonize us. They've been demonized us since time has been, whatever.
Hmm.
But what I'm saying is, there's times where we can de-escalate certain situations.
Absolutely.
Exactly, and that's all I'm saying. That's why I kept being repetitive by saying it's not about
Yeah.
kissing butt and yes, massa, no massa, none of that. But as a
Right.
man, I want to make it home. I'm trying to go home a lot, and I'm trying to stay alive because
And
I
you
have
know
two
what?
children.
And
Go ahead.
and so are they. Actually, so are they. They're
Correct.
trying to get back home to their
Correct.
families without, being hemmed up in the hospital, or even worse.
Correct. And like you
So
said, this is Miami. This is the hub of the port of, shipments coming in, this and that. That's why I was trying to
yeah.
tell Roland, like, them seeing a Lamborghini, Ferrari, that's common in that city. It's common
Okay.
because it's not just celebrities that drive these nice cars. You got D boys
Mm,
driving those type of
okay.
cars. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's all I was trying to say. That's why I said I'm not siding with the police officers, and I'm not saying that Tyreek Hill was totally wrong. But
Mm,
his approach, he stepped with the
yeah.
wrong foot. Yeah, by saying gang and come on, you calling up a white police officer or well, he's a Spanish guy. Come to find out, it was a Spanish cop. It wasn't a white cop, you know. And all they did to the cop was, I think they suspended him with no pay. Last time that I I,
Mm,
I read the reports, that's all, you know. So that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying there's no unjust that doesn't be happening in the street and these cops
yeah.
don't be power tripping. My point is, I'm not gonna let a cop get me out of my car, snatch me up by my neck, put his knee in my back, slam me on the ground. You know what I'm saying? Making me look like I'm some big drug dealer or whatever. You
Right.
get what I'm saying? But again, you're late for a football game. Why are you
Right.
late for a football game? Come on.
Who knows? But that's even within the streets. We got to take that same mentality of being courteous with each other, because
Correct.
we're just, if somebody, there's some kind of so-called beef or whatever, you ready to retaliate. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
shoot them up, bang bang, and it's
Correct.
like, and you're doing this amongst each other, but it's like you got open enemies out here, like real enemies, and you're not even
Mm-hmm.
batting your eye towards
Correct.
that. You want to do it on this
Correct.
low level, and you're not being
Correct.
humble with the next person. And
Correct.
again, this kind of goes back to what I was talking about, starting off with this, who was there with the hip hop, who started with the hip hop. And it's like now all of a sudden, within the past couple of years, there's this disdain almost when saying, oh, Puerto Ricans weren't there and guys weren't up there first, and and nobody's saying that Puerto Ricans were there first or created hip hop or rap. It's just that they were there.
They were
The
there.
element,
Crazy Legs. Is it Crazy
yeah,
Legs Puerto
Crazy
Rican or
Legs
Spanish?
it's a big, yeah, Crazy Legs is Puerto
Correct.
Rican. It's a b-boy. He's a b-boy. He
Correct.
didn't rap. But
But that's an
nonetheless,
element, though. That was an
yeah, that's
element, one of the main elements of hip
right.
hop. Correct. Correct. Correct.
And so, yeah, we as Black men better start pointing out when we're wrong. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. We got to take our emotions. Some men are just like heavily emotional. That it's like,
Mm-hmm.
are you serious right now? Like, you
Mm-hmm.
gotta relax. There's no need for that. Like, be level-headed. That's why I came off speaking from a place of reading, researching, and not being emotional when it comes to having these conversations, because these conversations can get emotional, can put people, at odds with each other. And then you got internet beef with somebody, and it's like, for what? I'm just speaking my mind. I'm speaking, I could have been nasty on that panel with the people, but there's no need for it. Once I know what I'm talking about and I have receipts to show, as they say,
Correct.
I'm not emotional.
Correct.
And I'm not gonna call out somebody's skin complexion. And people are so quick to be like, oh, they talk about each other's skin complexion. And it's like, I'm not coming on a place where I have to I'm talking about history and you talking about the color of my skin. Oh yeah, we know you got a lot of European in you.
Yeah.
And
No,
it's
but see,
like,
that's to me, the best form of dialect or conversation is, like you said, facts over feelings, facts over emotions. We can
right,
agree to disagree. And Wally, I don't want you to think that if you are thinking that way, I know you a super intelligent brother. I'm not attacking you. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying what you said was wrong. When it comes to stuff like this is why I do my mentoring. Because again, in my city, I've been there, done that, been to prison for 8 years. You know what I'm saying? And it got me nowhere. I'm trying to save some of these youth. Because if I didn't talk to them same kids, like I said earlier, the four that got pulled, when the cops ran up on them, if they
right.
didn't take my advice, they would have been in handcuffs. You get what I'm saying? And that's just from showing them same. And I'm glad that you brought that audit in. I make them watch these videos all day, every day, so they know how to converse with these police officers and say certain things. Massachusetts is
Right.
not an ID state. They had no idea about that. So when the cop comes
Mm,
up and says, "Oh," because they've been using this trick for years, like you said with the stop and frisk, that was heavy out here in Boston,
mm,
stopping and frisking. I fell victim to that a few times. You see what I'm
wow.
saying? So that's why I said, like, when do we wake up and make a change? Like the gentleman said, when do we take accountability? You know what I'm saying? Because I listen to a lot of folks, especially New York content creators, where these dudes be talking about gang banging and stuff like that, and it's just like, come on, man. I didn't have no big homies or big OGs to teach me anything. The people that I did have around was elders that we called OGs, and it wasn't original gangsters. We called them OGs because every time we was around them, they offered
Mm,
guidance. They gave us knowledge and wisdom. You know what I'm
mhm.
saying? What not to do. You know what I'm saying? And stuff
Right,
like that. So
right.
that's all it is. I don't want him to think that I was attacking him. I know I'm not. You my bro. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just passionate about stuff like this. It's certain things like
We right.
we can't still
We
keep
know
running with this.
Maybach. We know.
Yeah. We can't still be subscribing to a lot of this BS stuff. A lot of this stuff, we said it earlier, they throw it in our face and on the news. And a lot of the times it's a distraction from a real story that's happening. Like Ronan said, I forgot about the other Tyreek. You know what I'm saying? I think he had got killed or whatever it was. That was a real story that the world should have been seeing that and that
Mm,
coverage instead of the Tyreek Hill. The Tyreek Hill is because he's a celebrity. He's an athlete. So of course that's going to be broadcast. Of course, the regular person, this has been going on forever. These stories, New York, Miami, Boston, Philly, Jersey, wherever we live at, there's someone that we know got killed by a police officer. And again, back in the 80s when I was young, police officers that was working these forces was from our neighborhood. So when something happened, they knew how to deal with the people. They knew how to talk to communicate with the people. You know what I'm saying? Now you got a disconnect with people coming. Like I said, you got. I watched the precinct that they had to change. What was it? The 73rd precinct. They had to change that because 9 out of 10 police officers was driving from Long Island, working in that precinct. They're not used to dealing with that, and plus, we already know.
That
We
precinct
already
also
targets.
that precinct was notorious for corruption and
Correct.
racism and stuff of that nature. So that
Correct.
was a definite. But
Correct.
Wally, what do you want to have some input, Wally?
So, my one thing for sure is, you hear me, just don't say nothing. I'm just kicking back, just listening. So, it is what it is. Your commentary is just commentary. Like I said, this topic is just one of those that you just look at it for what it is. I mean, granted, did I had an initial different statement or different commentation somewhere else? Yeah, but I mean, after I look at it, after I talk to this person that I know, so it's like, you take it where you take it. But I mean, I can get what you're saying, right? He had a tenant window, and you don't know what that person's doing because they could have did anything in that moment, and that's true.
Right.
But let's be very mindful though. This is Tyreek Hill. If you do something that stupid to the point that you're willing to throw away your career just to do something to the cops, I mean, that's just crazy. And I don't think so. He's gonna be doing something that diabolic to where I got the strap. Bah! Like no. Like
no,
no.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
So it's like it's a double-edged sword on that part.
Yeah.
Not saying I'm not saying that you don't got a point, because that is true. You do want to
Yeah,
watch
you made
out.
a great point.
Be safe on both ends. That's great. But one thing, this is the only one thing that I have things with when it comes to these situations with the cops is, I remember the comment earlier when we say the cops are human too, but then this is the problem. Cops are human. You know how you're getting paid. You're getting paid by the people because they're the taxpayer dollars are paying your behinds.
Right.
So yeah, and then what's the pro quo? Oh, protect and serve, but who are you protecting? Who are you serving?
Correct.
Because it ain't looking like you're really protecting the everyday people.
Correct. That's a fact.
Like you say you think you is. So in that format, it tends to even push further of just saying what it is, and which points out that y'all only quote unquote protecting and serving those that put you in power in the first place. You need to put it, which is technically the people, the governments, but it ain't. But it really is just the everyday people. Because let's be honest, the government ain't funding you.
Correct. That's a fact.
The government is using the system, which through tax is funding you, which is why a lot of people are being like, "Oh, defund the police."
Right.
So I mean, like I said, it's a pick and choose. I ain't gonna even sit here and argue it because it's like, damn if you do, damn if you don't. It's always that back and forth of just slapping points around all day, every day. But my only thing with that is, look, I say it again, like, you may not like how Tyreek did it, like as far as his voice, as far as how he did it, as far as how he was talking and everything else, just like some people never like how the cop did it, because you didn't have to go that far and that extent to try to pull that guy out, try to almost break his car and break his property.
Correct.
And then go that far just because you didn't like how he was talking to you or how he conducted himself, even though he did comply with everything. So, but again, you take it where you take it. It could have been done better, but yeah.
I'm just happy that he's alive, though. I'll tell you that much. Yeah. I'm super happy he's alive, because he could have been unalive. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
but like you said, no, you made some great points. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I said like that cop was power tripping because when he gave him the information, gave him the license and registration, and was like, "Yo, hurry up, just write my ticket so I can go about my way." The cop started power tripping at that point, and where they're supposed to be trained to de-escalate those situations. So I'm not. That's why I said both people was wrong in that situation. That's how I look at it. I don't blame one more than the other. But again, I've had run-ins with police officers. They all running on adrenaline, whatever you want to call it. Like Foxy said earlier, they don't know who they pulling over. You know, they don't know if they pulling over the biggest kingpin drug dealer. Not saying that that's an excuse, but again, when you're not from a certain area, you don't know how to deal with those type of people from those communities. You know what I'm saying? So, but
My
again,
sister's in the house, law student Callie Ab. This is a perfect conversation for you to jump if you can jump in because she's soon to be lawyer. But yeah, these and the rules and regulations, as we know, apply to certain people. It's supposed to apply to everybody, but
correct,
like Brother Ed just said, you see a Justin Timberlake, and he could have caused harm
correct,
or death to somebody standing by or himself, and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." He's crying a river. His song, "Cry Me a River."
correct,
And he's well to do. He was out in Long Island, which is a very bourgeoisie area, and he gets a little tap. And so you get this young man who he's I guess cultured, and so he's using those slang terms. But I mean, honestly, we wouldn't associate a professional with those terms. Like, it would be yes ma'am, no
correct,
sir, yes sir,
correct,
and things of that nature. Like, we're rarely are we gonna be like, yo, yeah, why I picked, like, we're not using those slang words,
correct, correct.
especially
That's
when we're
like
speaking to authority.
correct.
But yeah, so and it's also just good to know the Constitution, know what your so-called rights are, so you know how to walk outside and conduct yourself. But if you are being nefarious, be expected that it's going to come back to you. Like, you can't just sit here and be like, "Oh, I'm a superstar and I could get away with stuff." I think it was, who was it, Snoop and Whitney Houston had some weed on her traveling, and they stopped her, custom stopped her, and she's going off about, "Oh, there's not that much weed in there, da, 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 da." But they got to still go through the process. Like, you carrying narcotics, or not, that's not a narcotic, but you're still carrying something, a substance, and you're going over international waters. So yeah, we have a right to search and make sure that you are not selling or what have you. And these things we have to be aware of. It's and then we wonder, oh, why are we being picked on, or why are they doing this to us? But it's like, if you doing something that's a little suspect, then be prepared to deal with the consequences. And that's that. I don't want to harp too much longer on this situation, but this is another case and scenario where we're talking about these injustices. Again, I don't know what his nationality is or his ethnicity, but when we're talking about just Black, it's a blanket statement for all melanated and heavy melanated people. You can't pull that. No, me no speaks, me no Black, and you Dominican, but you as dark as Tupac, because these people will pull you over if you're doing something that's crazy or whatever, or if you look in a certain kind of way, you're just being in the wrong place at the wrong time. And just to kind of bring it back to the topic at hand, is that the Caribbeans also had discrimination against them. And now I think they pretty much but there is like this old school element of the Caribbeans versus the new ones that are just coming in. They're kind of like running amok, versus like our parents and our grandparents that were, quote unquote civilized, and they came to America for whatever purpose, and really was to support their family, and they conducted themselves accordingly. Like I said, my great grandparents went and got their nationalized citizenship, because they just weren't going to be immigrants coming through and just they knew the protocol. and they became naturalized citizens, and birthed my grandmother, my mother, and myself here. And they just wanted a better life. Now you have some ratchet people from these islands that do come over here, and they do have the misconception of America's, the land of milk and honey and the golden floors and whatnot. And when they get here, it's like, oh, wait a minute. You got to go by our laws of the land. You can't just run amok like you've been doing out in your country. And so, yeah, you have a few of those that are clumped in together with these families that really want to do right by their family. And so I think I'm gonna just kind of like close down the live and give us our lasting words, because we kind of harped on this for almost 3 hours, and we could sit here and go around in circles until the cows come in. But just to have a better understanding, overstanding that when it comes to hip hop, when it comes to rap, it really was the youth of the Bronx and Brooklyn, because that's another issue, that it's like, oh, the Bronx is the home of hip hop, but in actuality, people in Brooklyn were doing the same things. People in Queens were doing the same thing. It was because of African Bambaataa and Kool Herc. They were able to go down to Manhattan into the clubs where the white people were hanging out at, and they were getting their music and stuff pushed out there. But a 7-year-old is not going to, they only see what they are able to see within their community. So in their eyes, it's, yes, the Bronx is the heroes, or, we're first, we're on the map. But in actuality, Brooklyn was just as tied as we were. Queens was, they were doing the same things, but there was just everybody had a different element and different way of doing things. And for some reason, the Bronx got nominated as the home of and the birthplace of hip hop. But in actuality, and even that, there's arguments that spot in the Bronx is not the home, and actually it was Bronxdale. And so there's a lot of all this inner beef and all this inner stuff, because we want to, especially people in the Bronx, like and who are true hip hop connoisseurs, we want to put the right information out. We want to, it wasn't just the Bronx. There were other boroughs. Manhattan was doing it, and Queens, like I said, we didn't even know that there was Black people living in Staten Island until Wu-Tang came up through the ranks and put Staten Island on the map. We were like, Wu-Tang got. We were like, Staten Island got projects. We didn't know this, because we're very much so in our own boroughs. We're very territorial. We're very much so. The Bronx is better than Brooklyn. You heard the rap beef with MC Shan and KRS-One, where they were going back and forth. Queensbridge, the bridge is over, and South Bronx, right? So there were these internal beefs and there were lighthearted beefs in these boroughs, again, where the children of these of this particular culture were, destitute children. Some of the parents had money. Like I said, a lot of the Caribbeans, as I read before, they came over there. They were well-to-do, and they found ways of making it work here. So a lot of these rappers, and I had mentioned this before on a live, they weren't broke. Like, I won't say Tupac was broke, but his mother, they were living kind of poor compared to like Rakim and KRS-One, who was going to college. And even though he went homeless or whatnot, he still had a 2-parent household. Like, a lot of these rappers are not what they're portraying to be. They are very smart and educated. Nas's father is a musician. I'm not sure but he was highly educated. Prodigy's mother also educated, and she was a musician as well, or a singer rather. And so they just reported what was going on in the street culture. But in our eyes, we looked at them like they were going through the same thing we were going through. And it's not until we became old enough to see that, no, they didn't really live the life that I was living. And they really wasn't living like, like a Tupac Shakur kind of life. Even Biggie Smalls, like his mom, she's Jamaican, and she was a single parent, but she was able to put her son through private school, through Catholic school. And that tuition is very expensive. If anybody knows about Catholic school tuition. So she was able to put her son into Catholic school. And he just, became a little degenerate, if you will, wanted to be outside in the street and sell drugs and stuff because he knew his mother couldn't afford to give him what he wanted. So he chose that. But it's not like she was living that life. And in comparison with Tupac, yes, his mother was, in on drugs most of the time throughout his childhood and stuff. But he tried to sell it one time and he said he couldn't make it. And then he started feeling bad about selling drugs to his people because he was like, I don't want them on this poison. Like, I'm going through something with my own mother that I don't want her on this. Right. So he just was like, I'm not doing this anymore. He did it one time, he said, and that was it. But again, because of the color of people's skins, their complexion, some get a hall pass, some don't, and it doesn't matter because with music, it transcends colors, it transcends cultures. It doesn't matter what complexion you are, but when you hear that music, it hits your soul. Your soul has no color. It just resonates with you. And that's what we have to keep that momentum going. We have this new generation that doesn't understand about frequencies. They don't understand about vibes, vibrations, and how it makes us feel because they're living on a death culture. Their frequencies that they're putting out purposely through the industry, through the music industry, is to keep people dumbed down, is to keep the frequency low. So all you're getting is just murder, shoot them up, drugs, lean, and what have you. And 50 years ago, we weren't doing that. 50 years ago, we were talking about these people that are doing the drugs now. And we were trying to uplift the community and stop the violence. We had songs like Stop the Violence. The West Coast had We're All in the Same Gang, like Stop It. And we lost, I don't know what happened, but the generation, the old G's are not communicating to the younger audience, and the younger G's, they don't really want to hear what the OGs have to say. And it's like somebody's got to stop. And somewhere there has to be this connection, and we got to put our pride and egos down for a minute because this younger generation is losing it. They're spiraling out, they're crashing out, all because it looks cute, you look big or what have you, but the generations before that, they weren't. We were really on some positive. Again, it changed by design with the so-called gangster rap back in the middle 90s going into 2000 on purpose, because these industries did not want you to hear about uplifting and fight the power, F the police. They didn't want to hear that type of stuff. They want to keep you dumbed down. So 80s and 90s was fun in hip hop. Absolutely. Because the music was organic. The music, it felt good. And even if they was talking about recklessness stuff in the lyrics, it still didn't make us want to go and hurt somebody. They try to get Tupac on that, where Bob Dole and what's her name? I forgot her name. But they wanted to say that this man who got pulled over by a police officer, and he happened to be a black young man at that, was listening to a Tupac song, and she tried to say that, or the cop was trying to say that it was the music that this young man was listening to that was making him be reckless. And Pac, they have to go to court for that because they try to really take his stuff off the shelves, because they're saying that Pac's music was inciting violence. So nothing new is under the sun. Nothing has really changed because it's still going like that. But it's the industry. They have a stronghold, and the industry is run by the alphabet boys. So they can put out the narrative however they want. But we have to be smart enough. We, the people, need to be smart enough. There's no reason why now, with the world of information, that we should be deaf, dumb, and blind. There's no way. Or like Maybach says, young, dumb, and full of There's no reason for it. We should really be elevating our minds and our vibe, our frequency, our spirit higher, because these people are still on that same old, and we can't. It's a detriment to society. It's a detriment. With that, go ahead, Wally. You got any lasting words for us before we part?
So one thing I would say to this is, so as far as the last thing that you just said about as far as like where the culture shift, pretty much like I'll say it like this. When they said back in the days, like, oh, this is just nothing but a fad, this is what it's become, nothing but a fad. And why? Because it's just like a big party nowadays. Music is nothing but a big party. It gets you high, gets you up on the rise. And then next thing you know, when it's all said and done, they're looking for the next song. They're looking for the next hot craze. They're looking for the next thing. And it's like, honestly, I treat the music right now like candy. It's like you have enough of it, and the next thing you know is like, okay, I'm not feeling this no more. And what else you got?
Right.
And it's like, it's crazy. Because funny enough, I don't know if you heard the secret song that Kendrick dropped, but he actually explains a lot of that in his new song, where it has like the black Nike coverage. Because basically what he said in there is, because there's a particular line that he thrown down, like people trying to push him to do more music as if he's not the one that's creative of it. It's like, you pushing me to do more music for what? Because when you think about it, one, this is about me. This is about my creation. This is about where I go through. This is not about me just throwing up hot songs every single day. And what we always know, two things. There is, because for me, this is how I look at music these days. I look at music for there's music for culture, and then there's music for entertainment. You can pick where you want to side on that. I know most people say, well, wait a minute, well, there's gang culture, there's this culture, there's that culture. Are you considering that culture? Not exactly. I'm more considering that entertainment, unless depending on how you divisively explain that. Based upon how that's being said, how that's being uttered in music, how that's being extracted, will determine if it's culture music. But most of the time, I look at that as entertainment music, because that's just the vibe of stupidity that gets you ramped up on BS most of the times. But just looking back at it, it's just like, we all know, like from Kendrick's standpoint, like he's from someone that's from the culture. And I mean, I don't want to really throw this up here, but even with Drake, because I remember Lecrae, there was an interview Lecrae had, and they asked, like, I know the person on the thing said, do you believe that Drake can come back with Kendrick? And he was like, no. And he was like, wait, what? Come on. You don't think he got a chance? No. And why not? And he was like, because Kendrick is from the culture. Drake is a fan of the culture. So, and if you look at the two differences between Kendrick and Drake, you can see Kendrick is someone that's truly ingrained, and Drake is just a fan where he just, having fun and living up. So these two things do not collide in a perfect world. So as far as looking at it from what it was back then, you look at where it is back then. Back then, it was more culture trying to really speak, information into the world, and some form of entertainment every now and then. Now it's flipped. Now it's more entertainment, less culture. We don't care about that no more. Is basically desensitized. Nowadays you hear about, you don't even care about the artist. You just care about the song. You can give two F's who the artist is. You just be like, oh, the song's so good. And that's all you care about. Which is pathetic, because you would think to yourself, you would go back to the person that actually did the song. But then again, some people may say the artist never wrote the song. It's someone else wrote the song. So it's like, well, who really cares about it, right? So pick and choose on that. So as far as where hip hop is right now, it's just, I say it like this. I know where I stand. Everyone else can have their stance. Y'all have y'all fun. But I know one thing, when they'll be complaining, eventually I'll be right there to say, so you're complaining about this, and yet you listen to who again? Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Because I find it funny how y'all like to complain or make statements, but then yet this is who you listen to on a daily basis, and yet there's actually artists that are actually speaking about what you're talking about on a daily basis too. And then, but you don't freak with them, you freak with this person that's just trying to catch high rise and everything else. Okay, cool.
Correct. A great point.
Absolutely.
Great point.
Maybach,
Yeah.
what you got?
Like y'all was saying, basically, there was a balance back then. You know what I mean? There was a balance. I don't know if y'all caught like Crazy Bone from Bone Thugs and Harmony had a podcast for a little bit. I don't know what happened to that because he went from, you know, telling stories, and then he got into, you know, the people who really run the business. They all fund private prisons. That's where their money's at. So he tells the infamous story about how before they did this song or wrote a song, one of their classic songs or hit songs, on how to structure the song and what type of audience they wanted them to get at and what the lyrics need to be. It's kind of like what Wally was just saying, but more on like the execs was telling them what they wanted them to rap about and stuff like that. He said so he never thought about anything like that when he was young and dumb, like I like to say, full of you know what, until he grew up. And he's like, wow, they wanted us to rap like this because they know that these people are going to listen to that and they're going to be committing these type of violence, these type of acts, and guess where they're going to end up going? To the places where they fund. You get what I'm saying? And stuff like that. So you know, it's kind of like how you were saying, because I think someone else talked about it too. I forgot what platform it was when they was like, yo, what happened to the backpack rappers? What happened to the conscious rappers? And then I think it might have been Drink Champs or before Drink Champs, but it was said, I can't recall what artist. It was like, yo, you don't notice like I think Spinderella even said it because she was asked, when did music change? She was like, I felt like it changed. She said, for me, she's like, I can't speak for everyone else, but when I noticed music change was when NWA or the gangster rap was more pushed to the forefront. Because again, you had Poor Righteous Teachers, you had Leaders of the New School, Brand Nubian. Those rappers wasn't rapping about shoot 'em up, bang bang, and sell this, and you know what I'm saying. There was messages in their song. Even Melly Mel's classic, "Don't Push Me Close to the Edge," where they showing what was that, the Bronx that was in the background, showing those
I
abandoned
think that was
buildings and how and they said the only time Reagan ever like during his campaign, he
he
actually,
went to the
yeah, he,
Bronx.
yeah, he came to the Bronx. You know what I'm saying? So I made that correlation when you brought up Trump coming out there, you know, and stuff like that. So when we look at it, it's like, yo, everything, you know, we should know everything is planned, everything's written, everything is, you know, let's make money off of them, but also let's, you know, let's do this to them too. And like how you said, the letter boys changed the frequency because there's a former ex letter boy that said they changed the music frequency and it was to to the low vibration frequency, you know, to keep us dumbed down. That's why the music, look at how music is, and it's kind of like what Wally said, there's a difference between a rapper like Kendrick and Drake. You could tell who's the puppet and who really is making music when he wants, because the last time Kendrick dropped was what, 6-7 years ago, before he came with all these songs back to back. You get what I'm saying? And stuff like that. So, you know, it was the same thing with Nas. Nas was dropping every 5-4 years, you know, because again, these people went in to this uh to hip hop with love and passion, but when they noticed like it's a business, and Nori just said that too, when he noticed that he had to charge for features, because he said he never knew about charging artists for features. He said Big Pun was like, bro, you know, you get paid for being on someone else's song or you charge. And he was like, for real? And he said that took the fun out of it. You know what I'm saying? Because he said when he first started rapping, he was like, yo, my first deal, I'm not going to lie. He was like, I didn't really read the contract because he had CL Smooth on there. And he was asking CL Smooth about, did he read the contract? And CL Smooth was like, who read their first contract? He was like, nobody knew nothing about contracts. He was like, and I like that CL Smooth said that. You know, he was like, yo, if anybody said they knew about a contract and they read it, they lying, because the words was put in certain words that we don't use, you know, and stuff like that, not everyday life. So how you gonna know what this word means? You have to get a lawyer, and you would pray that the lawyer is gonna be honest and fair to you and let you know what's exactly in that contract. And 9 out of 10 times, these record labels was giving you their own lawyers. So it was in their best interest. That's what happened to Migos. That was the big fallout with Migos. You know what I'm saying? Because the manager was given to them by the record label, QC. Their lawyer was working for QC. It's the same thing with Pac. They said when he passed away, he didn't own anything. Why? Suge was
Right.
buying everything under his name. And whenever he got mad and he brought up money, Suge gave him a car. Here. That, you
Yep.
know, it's the same thing with the glitz and the glamour. They got us, you know. So again, you know, they've been tricking us. They're gonna keep tricking us, and that's in every situation, every category, whether it's music, movies, you know, Hollywood, every way they've been attacking us. So, but I'll just end it there, man. I don't want to be long-winded.
Okay. All right, cool. Also, just wanted to let everybody know that we have a partial lunar eclipse happening tonight or tomorrow, depending on where you are in the hemispheres. And it could be seen in certain parts of the world.
Are we seeing it? Are we seeing it on the northeast?
We may like 10 p.m., 10:30 Eastern Standard
10:30?
Time. Yeah.
Okay, at night. Okay.
Yeah, and it is going to be in the sign of Pisces. So it's a full moon in Pisces right now. I also understand that we also have a planet that's in the sign of Cancer, which is Mars. Mars is the planet of war, if you will, anger, discrepancies, and things of that nature. So when you have two water signs that are the showrunners, a lot of emotions can take place. Pisces is known for their addictive behaviors, so be mindful about consuming alcohol and drugs during this time. Don't use it as a crutch, but be mindful about your intake. And the eclipses are beginnings while the full moon is an ending. So whatever things that you have going on here now, that energy will be felt for the next 6 months. And putting your intentions out there, you know, whatever it is that you want to do, is key during this time. And it's good for you to do it during this time. But again, that we have Mars in Cancer, so there could be parental issues, specifically mother issues, and, you know, reconciling with mama, and, you know, just trying to make smooth of things, because at the end of the day, no one's promised tomorrow. Literally, no one is promised. You can plan for tomorrow, but God has a bigger plan, or Most High, whoever you subscribe to, Creator, has a bigger plan. But when we are in turmoil in our own homes, you know, we go outside. And this is why some people, you know, you just don't know what they're dealing with, because they got a lot of internal issues going on. Family life, their life is not, you know, up to par. So when we're going outside, be mindful about how we're conducting ourselves and conducting ourselves towards others, because you just don't know what's going on. And so, yeah, that is pretty much what it is. Still not doing personal readings. I know, don't crucify me while you're just behind. I'm not ready for that just yet, but I'll let you guys know. Definitely check the community section out. Definitely check on my Instagram page, because I put, you know, I'll let everybody know what's going on regardless. I will be putting a short today from, who was beeping their horn like that? I will be putting a message out today in regards to the full moon and what, you know, what it's looking like for the week. So make sure to put that in there. Ed says salute. And what else is going on? I noticed that my Inside Foxy's Mind page has gotten some subscribers. So shout out to the subscribers. Thank you. I guess I should be proactive on that page now, because I haven't been. And yeah, that's it. Don't forget to like this lecture, this edumacation session, and share it out to those who you think may be interested. And yeah, and hit the notification bell from time to time. When I go on live, you get that notice. And with that all being said, I bid y'all adieu, salute, peace, and catch y'all on the flip side.
Peace. Everybody blows their horn in New York.
Right, you hear that, right? I'm like, what? Who's doing
Yeah.
that? Shut up. All
Peace.
right, guys.
Stay vigilant, move militant.
Absolutely.